Hi, my friends. Good to see you on this early Thursday morning. Yes, it is morning time. Rusty with you here, CFLW, Central Florida's live only weather channel. Good to see you. We'll get into it here. Apologize for taking a quick second here, a few minutes late. Just trying to make sure that our stream is nice and healthy and that we're good to go with that. So hopefully we won't experience any buffering, but we're working behind the scenes to kind of maintain the stream health. That was why it took a couple of extra seconds here, but hopefully things are pretty good. We'll get into it. It's going to be a very active day. Mentioned that in the last stream. Mentioned that this is going to be the case over the next several days. As always, CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews to walk you through the insurance claim process. You can check them out by going to Lean on Me Law if you want to. Scan that QR code. Good to see everyone for today. Again, very active weather day across the area. We have multiple special weather statements. We have a severe thunderstorm warning, and we have what's just going to be a stormy late morning and into our afternoon hours here. Again, frontal boundary to our north, working its way off to the south, providing the opportunity for strong and severe storms and just some heavy rainfall across the area as well. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink. Good to see you guys on this, again, late Thursday morning. Let's talk about what's happening across our area right now, and we'll take a look at our cameras in just a minute. So let me bring you up to date with the storms that are currently moving through Central Florida at this present time. We're going to start off with a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for just the next 8 minutes. It's going to be for the southeast sides of Flagler County, including Flagler Beach. So this storm that was moving through Palm Coast, Beverly Beach, Bunnell, has propagated up to a severe thunderstorm. Winds are 60 miles an hour. We got some 3/4 inch size hail out of that. Additional stronger storms right now are developing right along the Volusia County coastline. 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts basically in the Ormond Beach area towards Daytona Beach. Again, all of that activity continues to move off towards the east-southeast and a fairly good forward speed as well. These storms right now are moving at around 30 miles an hour. So you live in Daytona Beach, Port Orange, Ormond Beach, New Smyrna, and South Daytona, you can see some wind gusts of up to 50 miles an hour. Obviously, as these storms move towards the coastline, they're going to be hoisting up special marine warnings. Following that line south across Metro Orlando, we have a very large special weather statement. We were putting very small special weather statements, the Weather Service offices were, as the storms moved across the I-4 corridor. Now the latest one, they've just made this one excessively large special weather statements. Some of the larger areas impacted include Orlando, Daytona, Sanford, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. But we're talking about as far north as the Lake Helen area, on up towards DeLand, across 92. Again, your winds here could be 50-plus miles an hour. Deltona, DeBerry, right into the heart of Lake Mary, Winter Springs, of course, Sanford, moving across places like Lake Monroe, Lake Jessup. Nice thunderstorms at the hour over Castleberry, Altamont Springs, Maitland, Wekiva Springs, Forest City, Eatonville, Fairview Shores. All of this continues to move off towards the south and to the east. So a good, strong thunderstorm over Metro Orlando at this point in time, back towards the downtown area, and then eventually we'll cross 408 and move off towards the south and to the east. Additional storms are basically lining up across I-4. They're a little bit stronger right now after a bit of a break in the action southwest Orange County. They pick up again into the western sides of Polk County and the eastern sides of Hillsborough County. And again, just some really nice thunderstorms over places like Dover, Plant City. There is the opportunity for some hail out of some of these storms. Main threats are going to be winds of over 60 miles an hour. And additional heavy rain just continues to work its way onto the coastline as well. We're going to get training storms, multiple rounds of showers and storms moving over the same areas. That will provide us the opportunity for some excessive rainfall in some areas. Now, as always, love to hear from you guys. Drop in the chat what's been happening in your area. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I'll get to the chat as soon as I can, but obviously wanted to spend a minute and break down what's happening in our area right now. This is likely to be a scenario where these stronger storms will line up on this leading edge. They'll push off to the south and to the east. There will be some embedded, stronger thunderstorms still with some of the activity coming off of the west coast and moving inland. And then this entire activity will continue to move to the south and to the east. Additional activity could develop to the north. But I do feel like, at least in the short term, that the main game in town, if you will be along this leading edge for the opportunity for some strong and severe storms across our area. Of course, we have our live camera network here at CFLW. Let's check in with some of those cameras for you right now. Live look to Winter Garden. It is a gray sky in the western side of Orange County. Now, Winter Garden missed the most potent part of the storm in the northern side of Orange County, but gusty winds and just gray overcast. There's a tremendous amount of moisture in the atmosphere, my friends. If you guys noticed that the last day or two we've had a due south wind, and all of that moisture has been transported into Central Florida with those south winds, and it's looking like it's going to be one of those wet sponge scenarios here where we're just going to squeeze out all of that rain. Conway, southeast side of downtown Orlando, looking off towards the east. So we're going to catch the southern extent of that special weather statement with this camera. And again, those thunderstorms moving to the south and to the east at this present time. On over towards Sand Lake, again, we'll see additional storms move through this area. You can just see the turbulence in the atmosphere with some of the cloud coverage in effect right now. And again, the opportunity for some pretty impactful storms across the region. So 6box, our live camera network for you guys, tracking these storms for you here live on CFLW on this late Thursday morning. And we'll continue to monitor the situation across all of our camera network and what's happening in your areas. Okay. Chat time. Good to see everyone for today. Chessie, I know, jumped in the chat very early, so we'll give number one to Chessie, saying about 3.3 inches of rain in Spring Hill. All right. And again, some areas of the West Coast that have been desperate for some rain have gotten a fair amount of rain already, not only, late this morning, but overnight. These storms started to move in before the daybreak hour in some areas. Let's see here. Yep, sorry about that again. It should be good now. Again, we were taking just a couple of extra minutes to make sure that the stream was healthy before we came on. So I hope everyone's seeing it well. I hope everyone's doing good. Spring Hill in the house. Good to see you. Hello, Chris from Fort Myers. Breezy says a big-time storm over Ormond Beach now. Wow. Yeah, good thunderstorm northern side of Volusia County, southern sides of Flagler County as well. Again, I appreciate you guys jumping in the chat and let me know what's happening. We're just going to be playing catch-up here for just a little bit right now. Hey, Amy, good to see you as well. Dark skies and lots of thunder in Ormond Beach. As we're talking about that storm, I'm going to take a second just to zoom into the area here. And again, technically, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to expire very quickly. They have replaced it with another special weather statement. So you notice the box has filled in right over Daytona Beach and the Ormond Beach areas here. So let me pause this real fast. I'm going to do my little trick with my computer system. I'm just going to reset it. And the reason why I do this is I want to get those times back on the scene for you guys here. So real quick reset, zoom back in. New special weather statement. So this one's going to go for the next 32 minutes. I mean, look how many special weather statements in this severe thunderstorm warning covers this area. So the new one is until 11:45 for max winds of 50. Daytona Beach, Port Orange, Ormond Beach, New Smyrna, and South Daytona. I mean, so all the way down like places like Seabreeze and Holly Hill, close to Wilbur by the Sea, areas like that. So Port Orange North, including Daytona Beach Shores, US 1, A1A is just covered up. It's a healthy thunderstorm. 140 lightning strikes and a really tight view here. And again, a nearly 40-mile-an-hour wind here at the airport, a little bit inland there, I-95. Bracketed by multiple special weather statements as well. Another report of crazy right now in Daytona. Hello, Cactus Flower from Levy County. Appreciate you tuning in. Chessie's now up to 3.75 inches of rain. So you can clearly see that we're going to start to evolve into an opportunity for some flood advisories or even some flash flood warnings, depending on the situation. And guys, look, this is day one of likely at least 3, if not 4 days of very active weather here in Central Florida. With that frontal boundary stalling off to our north, nothing's really going to change. We're going to get multiple rounds of storms like this every day. This is kind of number one for today. This might be the biggest cluster of storms, but additional storms could refire in the afternoon and the evening hours, and then we're going to do it again tomorrow, we're going to do it again Saturday, and we're likely going to do it again on Sunday. That boundary is not going anywhere, so it's the focusing mechanism for it's going to be some active weather. If you live in the western areas and you've been desperate for more rain, you got a really good chance over the next 72 to 96 hours. News for the beach of the house. Appreciate you tuning in. Richard wants to know, hey, I live in Melbourne. Should I batten down the hatches? Look, what I would say, regardless of where you live in Central Florida, you just want to be prepared for thunderstorms to be coming in with the opportunity for some of those to be on the strong or severe side. Obviously, the biggest, most widespread impact is going to be the winds. We could see some winds 50 and 60 miles an hour. Likely, most of the storms will contain smaller hail, but we could get a pulse thunderstorm that produces 3/4 inch or inch size hail, and the flood threat too. Again, there's not going to be a lot of dry hours and locations for the next few days. So batten down the hatches. What I would say is keep weather aware. I'll keep you guys up to date. Obviously, if you live in areas that are dry right now, there's a pretty good opportunity the storms are headed your way. So plan out your day accordingly, and just understand that this may not be the only game in town for the rest of the day. More additional storms could refire too. So already have a flood advisory here, Hernando and Pasco counties. Of course, I have that information available as well. And absolutely true. So the flood advisory just got issued about a half hour ago. So real quick, for those who do live in portions of Hernando and Pasco counties, I do want to get you the information on this flood advisory. Take 1 second, just pop up on the screen. So goes until 12:45, right, for about an hour and a half. Portions of West Central Florida, including Hernando and Pasco. Minor flooding of low-lying areas. We've already had 2 to 3 inches of rain. Chessie says up to 3.75 inches already, with additional 1 to 3. So you're looking at 3 to 6 inches of rain in this area. Some locations that could experience this flooding include, let me take a deep breath before I say it all, Spring Hill, Brooksville, Weeki Wachee, Hernando County Airport, North Weeki Wachee, South Brooksville, all the Brooksvilles, Timber Pines, Weeki Wachee Gardens, Pine Island, Hillendale, Brook Ridge, Garden Grove, Markstown, High Point, Glen Lakes, Shady Hills, Weeki Wachee Acres, and Spring Lake. A lot of the areas here of Pasco and Hernando County. So again, 3 to 6 inches of rain already in the forecast here, and additional rain is likely coming, and additional areas of flood or potential flood are likely also going to be evolving as well. The excessive rainfall risk for today covers basically all of our area. This is your excessive rainfall risk for this Thursday, goes all the way down to Lake Okeechobee. So basically, Weather Prediction Center said, look, we're in a juicy atmosphere. We're going to squeeze things out like a wet sponge. Here's the opportunity for some rain that will produce some flooding risk across all of the area. Not only that, but we are under a marginal risk of severe weather again for today. That greatest chance is going to be from the Metro Orlando area to the north. It's your darker green. It's the marginal risk, 1 out of 5 on the scale. Look, every time we've done this the last few weeks, when we wake up in the morning, the Storm Prediction Center has no risk of severe weather here in Central Florida for the most part, outside of last night with the storms that moved out of South Georgia into North Florida. So, we don't have a risk for tomorrow or Saturday as of yet, but likely sometime during the day, they're going to issue some kind of marginal risk for severe storms. Again, your most widespread impacts will be the winds of up to about 60 miles an hour, but some hail threat as well. And of course, the flood threat continues with it. So we did allow the severe thunderstorm warning to expire for the far southeast side of Flagler County, mainly just because that thunderstorm hasn't gotten any weaker, but it's moving offshore. So obviously marine interests, keep that in mind. Tremendous amount of lightning right now over the Ormond Beach, Holly Hill area. My friends along coastal Volusia County, keep me updated in the comments section below. If you do see some standing water, that's going to be a very important part of the live stream for today. If you see some standing water anywhere, just let us know. Again, it kind of tells the story for the opportunity for some flooding. Our live camera network can show you the storms, but getting down and dirty with the areas where we have some excessive rainfall, that's part of what this live stream is, right? And I appreciate you guys jumping in for that. Daytona Beach as well, South Daytona, Port Orange. Look, this is just lining up now. This is a very solid line of storms from northern Volusia County all the way back down to Metro Orlando. If you do live in the Metro Orlando area, special weather statement until 11:30. Winds of up to 50 miles an hour with this thunderstorm. We'll check in with our live data network here, make sure we don't have any stronger wind gusts. An 18 so far in Sanford. Again, highest I saw was 37 in Ormond Beach, and Daytona Airport is at 36. So you do have some pretty widespread, consistent 40-mile-an-hour winds right now moving through northern Volusia County. Again, additional stronger storms are developing eastern sides of Hillsborough, western Pasco counties. Tremendous amount of lightning. Seffner, Brandon, Dover, Valrico, Plant City, along 92 and just south of I-4. 275 lightning strikes here in this view in just the last 15 minutes. It looks like that number is only growing higher. We'll see additional thunderstorms drop south from Odessa, Newport Richey south, and then moving off towards the south and to the east. Okay. Again, back to the chat. And by the way, we added characters to the chat so you guys can type more and it doesn't get cut off in our chat. So feel free to be as long-winded as you want to. Windermere Lake Downs, Gotha area getting hammered pretty hard right now. Large oak tree branches and street on Temple. 2 Jeeps just cleared them by pulling them out of the way. Thank you very much for that report. We should probably pass that along to the National Weather Service. So thank you very much, Florida Atomic Living, for that report. So where this person lives is right here. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. In the Windermere area, western sides of Metro Orlando, so large oak tree branches and street on Temple. All right, so a little bit of tree damage with some of the storms that came through. Now we also, of course, have our camera network too. I'm gonna switch over and do this real quick, guys. I'm gonna move over to our other view because I wanna have our cameras up. I want you guys to see those, and then I also want to have our chat up as well. Lake Buena Vista looks pretty good at this point in time. So again, I have the ability on the fly. We're just going to switch cameras here. I'm going to go over to, let's see here. Let's look south and west. So let's go over to our Sand Lake camera. Again, on the bottom of your screen now is going to be basically southern sides of Metro Orlando. We have Winter Garden on the western side of Orange County, and you can just see from the Conway cam, look at that sky right now coming through. I'll switch over full screen. Again, widespread 30, 40 plus mile an hour winds. You can see the shelf cloud moving through. This camera is looking east. So we will see basically this thunderstorm roll over the camera rather than run into it. But if you look on the left-hand side of your screen, that's looking to the north, and that's where even the stronger part of that cell is coming through. So Breezy comes in and says, storms pretty much done in North Ormond Beach, but lots of tree damage with intense winds and lightning with that storm. All right, so nasty storm there. That's 2 different reports of some tree damage. Reaper says rolling thunder, lightning here in Holly Hill, whiteout conditions basically. So basically visibility is zip within some of these storms. That's how intense they are right now. All right, let's switch over like this so we can have all of our information live on the screen. And we'll get back into the storms, keeping a close eye in your chat. Again, appreciate it. So again, right, these storms can be isolated much worse than what the airports record, right, or maybe even what the National Weather Service offices get from local storm spotters, right? Again, Breezy has been in the chat the last several times. I take their word for it, saying that the anemometer there in Ormond Beach detected a 68 mile an hour gust, all right? You can get these embedded downburst winds within this line of storms, right? Those kinds of winds are not going to be widespread, but they can be very isolated and they can be extremely dangerous and damaging, when they develop. Those downburst winds, you get a little bit of drier air at the mid-levels that gets pushed down to the surface and it comes out of the thunderstorms, and that's what you end up getting. From the National Weather Service office radar out of Melbourne right now, just taking a look at that velocity product. I'm not picking up that strong a wind, but remember, this is a relatively higher elevation. We're pretty far away. Even the Jacksonville radar's going to be pretty far away. So obviously, this is a huge push of wind that came through places like Ormond Beach and Holly Hill. We have 2 inches of rain in Marion County. Appreciate that update and that report. Rivals player jumping in saying in Lakeland. So now we're back into Polk County. Thunderstorm has some really loud thunder and some heavy rain. Can't see outside. Yeah, here you go, guys. You're talking about the opportunity for extremely significant rainfall. Rainfall rates, and we'll take a look at those in just a minute. Rainfall rates that are likely 3, 4, 5+ inches an hour. Now, the storms are moving pretty quickly for today. So, it might take multiple rounds of storms or additional just heavy rain redeveloping in the area to produce the flooding that we've seen in portions of Pasco and Hernando counties. But on the leading edge of this activity, I'm going to assume that we're having 3 to 5+ inch rainfall rates per hour, right? So places like Dover, Plant City, Lakeland, Auburndale, Polk City, it's going to get to Davenport, it's going to get to Haines City. I mean, I got to tell you something. If for some reason your travel right now is, hey, I'm going to take I-4 from Tampa to Orlando or vice versa, you couldn't have picked a worse time. I mean, you are literally following the most potent part of this activity. Now, it is going to push off to the south. If you need to get out and about across I-4 in those areas, give yourself a half hour if you can. Things will be looking better. Thunderstorms continue to move just east of I-4 in the Orange County area. So now that heavier thunderstorm is right over Conway. You can see that from our live Conway cam. So again, trying to help tell the full story here on Central Florida Weather Live, coming live with our cameras, with you guys live in our chat. It all helps to, again, tell a complete story, and we appreciate that. You can see the thunderstorms over downtown Orlando right now. So 408, it's wet. New special weather statement we'll take a look at in just a second. Winter Park, Maitland, Altamont Springs, Castleberry, not a great lunch commute if for some reason you want to head out for that. And look, the Weather Service is just hoisting up extremely wide special weather statements. Anywhere within this line, 50+ miles an hour, teetering on severe thunderstorm criteria. Yeah, the Winter Garden Cam it's just covered up with rain. It's funny because the Winter Garden Cam, the thunderstorm activity in Winter Garden is pretty mute compared to others, but this is what you're going to get behind it. So if you look at the Conway Cam, that's the leading edge. That's what you're going to get as a leading edge of these storms come through. The Winter Garden Camera is going to show you what's going to linger in your area with just so much moisture in play. Again, if you guys know, we've got an 8-week-old golden retriever puppy keeping me up at night. So I've been out and about walking her, letting her use the restroom. I got up around 3 a.m. this morning, and that south wind was just howling into Central Florida, and you felt it, right? The weight in the air out there, and it's just producing what we're seeing for today. And with that boundary stalled out, it's going to be a thing. By the way, was anyone else awoken by the booster return at around 3:20 a.m. I was lightly sleeping because I was keeping an eye on the puppy, and it shook me. I didn't know what happened. It felt like a bomb. I hate to say that, but the doors rattled of the house, and I got up and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And it wasn't until this morning that I realized that it was a booster return. Did anyone else feel that or get woken by it? Let me know. That was something, man. Like I couldn't figure that one out for a while, and I'm glad there was an explanation because I thought I was losing my mind. So the new special weather statement is going to extend farther east: Orlando, Deltona, Daytona Beach, Port Orange, and the Sanford areas. Let me give you the bulletin for the National Weather Service office out of Melbourne. So it's going to include Seminole, Central Orange, Eastern Volusia counties until noon. Winds of up to 50 miles an hour, okay? Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. And we'll also take a look at our local storm reports as well, because we're likely to start to see additional storm reports and tree damage up and down this line. So we'll replace the one special weather statement with one that just moves farther off towards the east. If these storms hold together like they are, certainly believe that we're going to get additional special weather statements along this line as well, as long as winds will start to pick up over 40. Again, back to the winds right now. newer, higher wind reported at Daytona International Airport of 40 miles an hour, 37 in Ormond Beach, but again, potentially well above that from one of our storm spotters in the chat. Amy says lots of lightning in Metro West. So Tanya says, I got woke up by the rocket in the wind here in Bithlo. Already started picking up. I'd gone to bed at 9. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Tom says, so glad I found your channel, Rusty. Do you think the bulk of this will clear Castleberry by noon? Round 1, likely, Tom. Now, when I say clear, I mean the most potent part of this. You can clearly see that there's a large area of light to moderate rain that is persisting. Now, it gets heavier towards the coast, like Citrus and coastal sides of Hernando and Pasco counties. But for Castleberry, we're likely to just stay in this gray sky with lighter rain falling. But again, this could still just be round 1 for today. Now, likely it's going to take a while for any stronger storms to regenerate and move through Central Florida again, outside of the immediate West Coast. So for the shorter term, I do believe so, Tom. Yes. Hello, Dagger. Good morning to you. I believe I've gotten to the last of the chat. Probably not, actually. Hello, Lady Rose CW. All quiet in Fruitland Park now, but the leading edge was scary when it came through earlier. Yes, indeed. It's actually lining up and getting even worse now, right? A little bit more juice, a little bit more heat. We had a little bit of, surface warming this morning, south and east of this, right? Typically speaking, unless there's just a ton of mid-level and upper-level energy to propagate these storms in the overnight hours, the heat of the day here in Central Florida really allows these thunderstorms to get even stronger. What? All right, so Jamie jumps in and says, our family dog, Sassy, is high anxiety, shaking nervously. Well, first of all, that's stinks to hear, and I hope Sass is doing well. Secondly, that's what we named our dog. Our golden retriever's name is Sassy, and let me tell you something. She's sassy. We named her thinking, did we really name her right? And then a couple days later, after we brought her home, she's sassy. So I hope your Sassy's doing well. Our Sassy's doing pretty good. Jamie, good morning to you from Arcadia. Hey, Blue Goose, good to see you, my friend. Woke up with a thunderstorm this morning, very tropical feel out there. Oh, absolutely. St. Augustine, 86 degrees, 88% humidity under mostly cloudy skies. Appreciate that, Blue Goose. Again, appreciate everyone jumping into the chat. If you're here, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, this is a live-only channel covering impactful weather here in Central Florida. I'm only on when storms or other impactful weather are moving through our area, such as tropical storms, hurricanes, or even some really bad weather in the wintertime as well. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting subscribe. I do suggest having all notifications on for the channel because it is a live-only channel. Thank you to our members as well. You will see those folks in green. Memberships are available. You get access to exclusive member short videos. I made yesterday's public just as a preview, so if you go back and take a look at the channel for what that could be for in between these live streams, I wanted to give our members and everyone just a heads up of the very active weather we're going to see in Central Florida, not just today, but in the coming days as well. This is a multi-day strong and severe weather event and the opportunity for some excessive rainfall and flooding with a frontal boundary, a weak one, obviously, this time of the year as we push into late July, early August, but stalling to our north, tropical moisture to the south. That boundary is going to take a few days to dissipate, and it's just setting up shop for waves of strong storms to continue to move through the area. So we do have, again, large special weather statement from Volusia County all the way into eastern Orange County. Storms are still quite strong south of there. The executive airport has picked up a 33-mile-an-hour wind gust right now. You can just see from our cameras outside that you guys are talking about near whiteout conditions or the visibility is just poor. It's just raining solidly. A really healthy thunderstorm over Conway right now. Not severe, right? But winds that could be pushing 40 miles an hour in that area at the present time. Roadways are going to be wet. Ponding on roadways are going to be an issue, and picking up some water in low-lying areas. Gray sky and Sand Lake as well. Again, thunderstorm moving through that area. fairly low visibility. Just a good idea of the, the water-loaded atmosphere. This is Sand Lake looking south and east. We call this the Epic Cam because you can see the fireworks display from the new Epic Universal theme park from this area. So obviously, if you guys know that theme park, you know exactly where this camera is looking right now. And again, you got to watch out for just what's going to be a stormy day. Fair amount of lightning in the area. Even behind the initial line, I do expect there to be some decent lightning activity. And of course, that's going to impact portions of the Lake Buena Vista area and the attractions as well. So again, this camera is just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom. Storm has already rolled through that area with additional lightning strikes behind that. So for the theme park goers, again, not a very fantastic mid-Thursday to be outside. Continuing to monitor all of the cameras for you guys here across Central Florida. Here's a look at 4 of them at one point in time. Again, some of the cameras that I just mentioned. And we'll be monitoring all the situation for you here. So again, good to see everyone. You got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. I think this is just one of those streams where we sit back, we relax, we track things together. You guys have a question, and we'll see how this plays out. Obviously, if you live south and east of this line, you're the ones who really need to get prepared for some of the stronger activity. If you live back behind the line, okay, Citrus, Hernando, Pasco counties, it's still a lot of heavy rain, right? Which could lead to additional areas of flooding. We already have one flood advisory in effect. If there's ever a flash flood warning, by the way, that will show up imminently on my screen, all right? It'll show up right away. We can track that for you. But going back over to the advisories real quick, just to make sure there's not an additional one. And it looks like they have thrown an additional flood advisory up. So let's check it out. Flood advisory just issued. This is going to be for central and western, let's see here, Polk County. So 2 to 3 inches of rain and an additional 1 to 2. So 3 to 5 inches, including Lakeland, Plant City, the airport, Mulberry, Willow Oak, Winston, Lakeland Highlands, Plant City Airport, Crystal Lake, those areas of Polk County. You are now under a flood advisory until 1:30 for a total of 3 to 5 inches of rain. For Hillsborough County, again, 3 to 5 inches of rain. Looks like it's the same area here, but sneaking into, I guess we're talking about Plant City here. So it does include far eastern Hillsborough County. So most of what's going to be Polk and then the far eastern sides of Hillsborough County, including Plant City. Again, on this product, this is county by county. So it's not polygons, but we can talk about it's really far eastern Hillsborough and portions of central and the western sides of Polk County. The other flood advisory will continue till 12:45, and that's going to be for Pasco and Hernando counties. And again, there, it's 3 to 6 inches of rain. So widespread, copious amounts of rain there already. When we look at the rainfall totals, radar estimated, by the way, last 12 hours. This is estimated rainfall totals last 12 hours, right? Now, again, it takes a little bit of time for the product to update live, all right? But you can see what I was talking about overnight into Citrus and Hernando and Pasco counties. So if we take a look at some of these numbers, in this, again, you have widespread 2+ inches of rain, and then Chessie there in Spring Hill had 3.75, and I got to tell you something. Our radar estimate is right there. I mean, percentage-wise, that's pretty darn close, coming in at 3.4. And Chessie, if you're still in the chat, you get over 4 inches of rain, let me know. But we're starting to see additional heavy rain, and again, we're a little bit behind on this product, move in. And then you get into another area here where there's at least been 1.5 to 2 inches already. But additional heavier rain developing there. Some heavier rain up in Flagler County. And then there's this little small heavy storm in northern Lake County earlier this morning that produced some decent rainfall totals too. Now, when we look at how much is falling right now, meaning the precip rate, so this is going to be right now how much rain is falling on an hourly basis. So here back into Volusia County, guys, we have over 5-inch and 6-inch per hour rainfall rates coming down with this storm just east of I-4. That is blinding rain. It's moving south and east. Port Orange, Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna, Edgewater, get prepared for near zero visibility with that kind of rain, and still a fair amount of lightning strikes as well, okay? Still a fair amount of lightning strikes. Let me put the lightning strike data back on. You guys might not be able to see it because of that. Let's see here. I'll get you the amount. Oh, you know what? It's probably being covered up by my banner. I think we're in this mode. It's not going to show the amount of lightning. That's okay. But you can see the additional heavier rain here. Again, right up and down this line, we're picking up areas, multiple areas, many areas of 3-4+ inch rainfall rates per hour. Now the storms are moving fairly quickly. We're not going to get that in one go, if you will, but some spots will likely get half of those totals, so 2 to 3 inches. And then if you get any additional heavier rain to come through your area later today, there's your additional flood threat. Right? And again, even behind this, still some pockets of heavier rain and some thunderstorm activity. Tom comes in and says 4 inches in Castleberry and County. So there you go. Bob, I think Frostproof is going to get some, that's for sure. Saul says New Smyrna Beach getting hammered right now. Yep, absolutely. Again, appreciate the reports, guys. Keep them coming in. Helps everyone out. Helps me out, but also helps everyone in the chat who's interested in what's going on in your area. I'm going to go back over to the radar data, but before I do that, I'm going to bring up our local storm reports. Again, if we get anything official, this will pop up. If you guys do have a report, you can always send that to the National Weather Service office in Melbourne. You can, send them a message on X. I believe there's local storm report that you can submit on their website. But if you guys want to help them out in that way, you can certainly do that as well. So if you've had some damage, you want to reach out to the Weather Service office and let them know, feel free to do so. All right. So we're going to bring back on all of our data here. New special weather statement for portions of Pasco, Hillsborough, does not get into Polk County right now. So new special weather statement till 12:15. Storm moving southeast at 30. Again, good forward speed right now. So the heaviest rain, I mean, I'm talking about the most potent, could still be 30 to 45 minutes, but it's not going to be sitting over your head the entire day. But that's the kind of first percolation, if you will, of the flash flood potential, and then what additional rain you get behind this. A lot of areas here. Tampa, Plant City, Temple Terrace, Lutz, Brandon, Hillsborough River State Park, the Palm River Claremelle area, which is just east of the bays, the International Airport, East Lake, Orient Park, Land O'Lakes, Egypt Lake Lido, Carrollwood University, Wesley Chapel, Keystone, Northdale, McDill, Pebble Creek, Citrus Park, Lake Magdalene as well. So ton of areas here through the heart of the Metro Tampa area. Does not include Pinellas County into St. Pete, but Land O'Lakes, Odessa, Citrus Park, up the Veterans. Here's Wesley Chapel included in this, Pebble Creek, Big Gulf area, Temple Terrace, East Lake, Mango, on the doorstep of Brandon. There's Davis Island, Tampa, South Tampa, McDill, all within this special weather statement for winds of up to 40 miles an hour. Now, again, I'm a little confused as to why we're not hoisting up special weather statements here, especially because your last check out of the Auburndale, Winter Haven area is a wind gust of 38 miles an hour. So we're teetering on getting additional widespread special weather statements here and just continuing to fill in this line. And our one special weather statement out of the Orlando area, southeast at 15, Orlando, Daytona, Daytona Beach, Port Orange, and Sanford. Still the strongest activity is up here, right? Daytona, South Daytona, Port Orange, 40-mile-an-hour wind, Ponce Inlet. See here, let me get the lightning data back on for you guys too. There we go. Okay, so again, appreciate this. Hiker bomb, streets are flooding in New Smyrna Beach. Absolutely expected, unfortunately, right? We've had 3, 4+ inches of rain in portions of coastal Volusia County coming down quickly. It's an area that is prone to flooding, so be very mindful of that. Obviously, in these areas that have had significant rain, if you can, just stay inside, let the water recede a little bit. It's your best course of action. Turn around, don't drown. Just 6 inches of fast-moving water can sweep a car off of a road. I know that sounds unimaginable, but we see video of it all the time. The other thing, too, is you just don't know how deep the water is, right? You get some of these low-lying areas, and that water can collect fairly quickly. So please be very careful of that. The great news is that, again, for Volusia County, behind this initially, I don't see any rain for now. So there should be some receding of the water through the afternoon hours. So Tina comes in from Valrico. Right now, look like soap suds are filming a lot of it. How about that? Ron jumps in and says starting to pour here in Winter Haven. I saw Chessie came in with, I think, just under 4 inches of rain. So again, in Spring Hill, just under 4 inches of rain. That is where we do have the flood advisory currently outside for you guys right now. And at least additional light to moderate rain will continue for the short term. It's really hard to say exactly when this is going to fully break up. But again, we're just using the radar out of Melbourne right now. I have access to all of them. To give you guys an idea of kind of what's happening across the entire area, I'll go to our network of radars. And you can see that there is a break in the action right now north. There's not really any additional activity right now up here. We do have some storms off the coast. We'll see if those want to swing inland enough. But, you know, the main game right now is what we're tracking for you guys live. Still could see some storms develop in north central Florida that work their way back down. But for some of the areas hardest hit, at least in the short term, we're not likely to have additional heavier rain. That could completely change later today, could change tonight. And again, more waves of storms at least Friday and Saturday, if not even on Sunday as well. Brandon's starting to get some storms. Tina, I appreciate that. I really like this channel. I'm so glad I subscribed now, my first time, but this is amazing, so much better than the big news stations. Well, I appreciate that. Again, there's no geographic boundaries here, right? There's no geographic boundaries. There's no time boundaries whatsoever. The other great thing about it is that we can interact in real time. This really doesn't work unless you guys are involved. So I can't thank you guys enough for helping me build a fantastic weather community here across Central Florida. And again, covering impactful storms. So when I'm on, you guys know there's something to get into the chat and discuss. You know, when I'm off, you guys know that the weather is relatively quiet out there. We'll keep you up to date, of course, in between with our member-only short videos. But for the most part, if you have those notifications on and you get a notification from me, you know there's a reason to tune in. I love some of the chat, by the way. Did you guys hear that? So I live in Metro Orlando. I am well behind the main line of storms, but there is still some tremendous lightning behind that initial line. Don't get caught thinking that I'm behind the initial line. I'm good with the thunder and the lightning. Not necessarily the case, right? If I just zoom into Claremont, Montverde, Apopka, Ocoee areas, and we look at the lightning strikes from what looks like some pretty benign weather, right? 50 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. Still some good lightning. I can even zoom in a little bit further, right? Still a few lightning strikes in what looks like nothing more than light rain, all right? Please be very cautious. Give yourself 30 minutes between the last clap of thunder and going back outside. And again, even behind this, additional lightning with the cells have redeveloped in a widespread fashion. Hernando, Inverness, Floral City, Homosassa Springs. Look, they're not going to be the most robust storms, but they're still going to be carrying some lightning too. I have no idea about the soap suds or foam falling from the sky. I mean, potentially it might have, do you live near a lake? Potentially it picked up a little bit of the foamy water on the top of the lake and then deposited it. Remember, as thunderstorms develop, they produce a lot of lift and then they rain themselves back out. Question all the way down to Lake Placid. Does any of these storms make it here? Would believe so, yes. So Lake Placid being farther off to the south, these storms are likely to make a run deeper to the south and to the east and hold together. So if you do live in Lake Placid, I would expect that. You can already see additional thunderstorms are developing ahead of that line as well. All right, again, good to see everyone just before the top of the hour. Special weather statement continues for the next 10 minutes for these areas. Strongest thunderstorms right now: Daytona, South Daytona, Port Orange, Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea, New Smyrna, Edgewater. 40 to 50 plus mile an hour winds. Again, can't rule out the smallest of hail. This should likely be more of a pea-sized hail event right now. More straight line winds would be the worst situation. We've already had numerous reports of tree damage. We've had reports of street flooding as well. So already some idea of what's going on there. The amount of lightning in the Glencoe, New Smyrna Beach area right now is fairly tremendous. This is a very narrow view, right? Few square miles or so, where we have 115 lightning strikes in a 15-minute time frame. US 1, New Smyrna, A1A intersection getting hammered right now. I mean, coming down. Absolutely coming down. Of course, you guys know that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. We appreciate their support. You guys interested in sponsoring the channel? You'll see that QR code momentarily pop up on your screen. You can scan that and it'll get you information, get us to an email address. If you want to become one of the sponsors of the channel, if you want to sponsor one of the cameras, you can do that as well. And again, we have a live camera network. We continue to build out that camera network. We continue to bring you guys new innovation. We're really excited about some of the things that will be coming your way, but we continue to just roll things out for your experience here. And again, if you're getting anything out of this, I do appreciate you taking a quick second, hitting the like button and subscribing. And even more importantly, dropping a hi in the comments section below. Let me know what's happening in your area. Hey, Beach Girl, for real. Hi, Rusty Cats and Dogs in Seminole County. Appreciate that. William jumps in and says, heavy rain soon in my area near Michigan Avenue. Guys, we do have a super chat from Maria Rivera, $1.99, saying thank you so much for the updates. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Maria. Appreciate that super chat. Thanks for taking a quick second and helping to support the channel in that way. So thank you very much, Maria, and I'm happy to be here with you guys. So again, thank you for that support. Hi, Joyce. Lakeland has been pounded for a long time. Yep. Again, opportunity for some localized flooding in Lakeland right now. Flood advisories in effect. We'll look at those coming up. Again, we're just rolling through all of the camera network and all of the technical abilities we have here at CFLW. You guys can keep track live with these storms with me. Still that gray sky in Winter Garden. Again, don't get fooled. Behind the initial line. Good claps of thunder still. Gray sky, some significant rain. Same situation over Lake Buena Vista. Again, folks probably want to get back out to the attractions. I get it. Is it completely safe right now? Probably not. Still a few bolts of lightning here or there as well. Good to see our John's light rain here in Ocoee. Bitcoin coming in all the way from Jupiter, well south and to the east, saying barely a drop of rain for weeks. It's trying to get there. Now, look, I will say this. In a general sense, the farther south that you live, the lesser rain totals you're likely to get during this event. It doesn't mean that it's just going to be this gradation all the way down, but in a general sense, closer to the boundary, better storm chances. That boundary, by the way, is just kind of sitting over I-10. It's just not really doing much right now, but that's the issue, right? It's just kind of flopping around right now. It's not really doing much. So the surface boundary is here, but we're having a mid-level push back down towards I-10, and it's just going to stall out there. And if we look at the surface-based wind profile right now, let me do something else here real quick. So if we look at this, guys, you have this boundary kind of in this area right here, okay? Obviously, all of our heavier storms are here at this point in time, all right? And then this will just kind of continue to drift off to the south, right? And produce additional heavier rain because all of your low-level winds are flowing from the south. And I know it gets kind of messy, but you understand that this is just a big convergence zone, right? This is just a huge convergence zone across our area. And that's not going to change as long as this boundary just kind of stays here. So that's what I'm expecting here. And again, it's not just one area, but you've got multiple areas of storms, okay? Now, if I show you guys the surface-based winds, make those nice and big for you, you'll get that idea. Again, winds at the surface are mainly out of the south, and then they start to become out of the north by the boundary and paralleling that. So all of this moisture will just continue to develop coming out of the eastern Gulf and right over our area. So this is the scenario for the next several days. So again, just kind of setting up how many times I could be on here live. And again, you guys know that we've got the ability also to stream our radar network and our camera network live even when I'm not on. I'll keep you guys up to date on that. So there's the ability to basically cover this for you guys 24/7 for the next several days if we have to, even if I'm not on personally because I need to get a nap or something like that. But obviously, you know, the pertinent parts of this, I'll be on live covering this for you, including right now, of course. So Loretta asks, this is going to rain all day in Tampa. Not likely an all-day rain, but a very active forecast. There's just not going to be a ton of dry hours in locations for the next several days. There will be some breaks, but you should expect that your late morning through the afternoon hours will be quite active the next few days, with generally speaking, in a general sense, the evenings and the overnight hours being a little bit quieter. But some areas could get multiple rounds on a daily basis. It's not a severe thunderstorm warning for Tampa. That is a special weather statement. We've mentioned that one already. Again, till 12:15, right in the heart of the downtown Tampa area. If you live in these areas, up to 40-mile-an-hour winds, likely with this storm. We'll check in with our wind gusts. Zephyr Hills had a 30. Right now, that is the executive airport with an 18. Nothing out of the international airport so far. And again, at least at this point in time, it does not include Pinellas County. But still could see some breezy conditions there. Additional thunderstorms are trying to develop a little bit farther to the south towards the Bradenton area right now. Right across where the skyline comes in, 275. So a little bit stronger storm there, just north of Bradenton. Decent storms here, deeper into eastern and southeast Hillsborough County. Getting pretty covered up over Polk County. Again, just following this line. Haines City, Davenport, Kissimmee, Buenaventura Lakes. Got my Lean Law mug tumbler, by the way. Going to have to be sipping a lot. I'm going to be talking a lot in the next few days. Got to keep the old whistle wet. So Buenaventura Lakes, MCO, Medical City, Lake Nona, Avalon Park, University, Chuliota, and then right back into this area here. So that storm is over New Smyrna Beach as we speak. Again, a tremendous amount of lightning over New Smyrna Beach. Edgewater, just at the top of the hour. Oak Hill at 12:17. These are the areas to likely get impacts of winds of at least 40 miles an hour and a tremendous amount of lightning. If anyone lives in the New Smyrna Beach area, Glencoe area, jump in the chat. Let me know what you're seeing. Ponce Inlet as well, even up to Port Orange. If you've had additional heavier rain and flooding of any areas, low-lying areas, ponding on the roadways, let us know in the chat. Terry comes in, says very windy in the village of Lake Tarpon. Appreciate that. So that square, Loretta, is where we have either special weather statements or severe thunderstorm warnings, okay? Polygons are how the National Weather Service talk about the areas where the most impactful storms are moving. So if I zoom in, the great thing about what I do and what you can see is you clearly see the information on your screen. So this yellow polygon is a special weather statement. It goes for the next 15 minutes and your threats are listed as well. So in this polygon, those areas could see winds of up to 40 miles an hour, maybe even some higher gusts. So, that's that particular special weather statement. Other special weather statements will have other information, such as winds of 50 miles an hour here. This one goes for 45 minutes. And then if we get a severe thunderstorm warning, which is a little bit higher on the old echelon, you got to have winds of 60 miles an hour and or inch size hail. Those will be in red polygons, and we'll take a look at those as they come up. Blue Goose, one of our big friends of the channel up in St. Augustine, with another good downpour there. Therese jumps in and says, oh, it arrived there in the Kissimmee area. Yeah, again, this is a fairly potent line of storms, right on that leading edge. Blinding rain, rainfall rates 4, 5, even 6 inches an hour. And again, even behind it, it's just solid rainfall and still some embedded thunderstorms. Now, again, we do have a new special weather statement, so I want to get into that. It's interesting that this one goes for 44 minutes. It goes until 12:45. So New Smyrna, Edgewater, Oak Hill, Scottsmore, Haulover Canal. So it does get into the northern sides of Brevard County. Again, you saw the times of arrival there. I can, if you guys are new to the channel, literally have street level mapping. Literally based on where the storm is and the expected forward speed, we can get down to street level and your times of arrival, right? So Oak Hill, just an example, is around 12:17 at the city center. But let's say we go a little bit farther south and east. You live south and east of Oak Hill. Your time of arrival is more like 12:24, about 22 minutes from now, counting down to the second. Maybe you live right on the border of Brevard and Volusia counties near I-95. Well, your time of arrival is more like 12:10, about 9 minutes away. So we can really track this down to the very second based on all the information that we have available. Still, though, even though that's heading that way, I mean, really the worst part of the storm is still Edgewater, New Smyrna, up towards Ponce Inlet. Just got to Poinciana. Thank you very much for that. So again, a little bit farther off towards the south than Poinciana. Thank you. This is actually great to hear that New Smyrna Beach is slowing down a bit, right? Because it's been a problem in New Smyrna. We've had some significant rain and some flooding there. Again, I am happy to report that behind this initial heavy line for portions of Volusia County, the rain should be tapering off fairly quickly. It's not the case in other potential flood-prone areas like Pasco, Hernando, and portions of Hillsborough and western Pasco County, Polk counties. Rain continues there. Hopefully, not heavy enough where we can play catch up and get some receding of that rain, but it's not out of the question that additional flood advisories might be necessary in these areas. Again, when I go to this product, this is going to be kind of a county by county look. So rather than having the polygons for the flood advisories, we take a look at it by county. Still the same flood advisory for Pasco Hernando till 12:45, and the same flood advisory here again for basically eastern Hillsborough, western Polk, until 1:30, I believe. Again, 3 to 5 inches of rain. Lakeland, Plant City, all the Lakelands, Mulberry, Willow Oak, Crystal Lake, some of the areas that you see on your screen in this flood advisory. So again, not all of the county that you see is going to be under this flood advisory, but in this product, we look at it county by county. Now, additionally, the excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center includes all of our area. It goes all the way down to Lake Okeechobee. So for today, they feel like anywhere in our area could see enough rain to produce some localized flooding. Shows you how widespread and tropical in nature the rain is going to be for today. And we do have that risk of severe storms. Now, look, these are just lines on a map. And I mentioned this in the last video we did. You know, the Storm Prediction Center had thunderstorms that could be severe as far south as North Brevard County. Well, the storm started becoming severe in central Brevard County, and they just extended that line. You know, look, they're human as well, but they have a very good grasp on the overall dynamics. And this should play out, meaning that the closer to the front in the boundary, the higher the opportunity for some strong to severe storms. Doesn't mean south of Orlando we're not going to get some, right? And we've even had some special weather statements already in Hillsborough County. But the better opportunity is going to be to the north. And on a daily basis, I do believe there's going to be some severe weather risk that accompanies these rounds of storms. And the deeper we go into this, this whole situation over the next few days, more rain we get, more saturated soil and ground, additional flooding areas are likely to develop as well. Tornadoes are low in this environment, but they're not zero. So Lynn jumps in from Glencoe. I appreciate that. Tremendous lightning and thunder in Glencoe. You're wearing 3 terrified dogs. I understand. I get it. Our husky, before we got our golden retriever, not a fan of the thunderstorms as well. I can understand that. And again, the lightning is very significant. Guys, 400 lightning strikes here in the last 15 minutes. That's it. Small area, 400 lightning strikes. Special weather statement for winds of 50. But remember, lightning and rainfall rates do not equate to special weather statements or severe thunderstorm warnings. It's only wind and hail. Those are your only 2 criteria. So you can have a storm that is raining cats and dogs and producing more lightning than you've ever seen. And you might just have a special weather statement on it, not even a severe thunderstorm warning. Typically, they go hand in hand, right? Storms with the highest winds produce the heaviest rainfall and the most amount of lightning, but not every time. Sometimes you can get these rogue storms that produce way more rain and wind and lightning than they do wind. Sure. Question about the Orlando area. Obviously, we got you covered here in Orlando. You got our live camera network watching the storms there. First of all, again, it is dependent on where you live in Orlando. Farther east, we still have the good storms. UCF, Alafaya, Waterford Lakes, Avalon Park, Wedgefield, across the beach line, moving east of the 417 right now, Medical City, some of Lake Nona, but now back towards places like Narcoossee, Buenaventura Lakes, St. Cloud. And then for the rest of the metro Orlando area, we're shrouded in what you see on your screen. Overcast skies, light to moderate rain, and still some embedded lightning. Don't be fooled. There could still be some lightning being produced out of this. I believe it should dissipate and fall apart. But just zooming into this area here, again, this looks very benign. If I take this off, this looks like some very benign activity. Metro Orlando west into Lake County, but we've still had 15 lightning strikes in this view in the last 15 minutes. So, don't be fooled that there still is a danger out there with just this overcast sky. Now, rainfall rates here are going to be pretty light for the most part at this point in time. This is the first wave coming through, right? Once it pushes to the south, we're likely to quiet down some. And then we'll see if additional storms want to try and percolate back up later this afternoon or this evening, or whether it's not until tomorrow that we pick up the more significant round again. But this is not going to be the only game in town over the next few days, I can tell you that. Winter Haven beginning to calm down a little bit as well. So I appreciate, coming in and asking about some of the severe weather risks. Look, in general, there is an opportunity for at least some severe thunderstorms, okay? There's likely to not be a very widespread tornado risk. I think that at times, depending on how the environment plays out, there could be an isolated tornado risk or waterspout risk, but nothing widespread. Today, the Storm Prediction Center, they have categories of the risk areas. So if I bring this back up for you guys, I'm just going to take this off chat. That is your categorical risk for today. Now, this product has been, okay, it is working. Okay, this is your risk for wind. okay? So the main threat today from the marginal risk is wind. You notice how that's brown. This is the wind risk. If I look at the tornado risk, you notice that nothing's there, right? So for today at least, the Storm Prediction Center felt like there wasn't enough of a tornado risk to include it in the overall risk potential. It's mainly the winds, okay? If you notice at the bottom of your screen, I make that headline myself based on the information I see, based off the Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center forecast. I don't have a tornado risk. I always say in these environments, it's low, but it's not zero. If I think at any point in time over the next few days that ticks up a little bit for any reason, I will certainly let you guys know. But generally speaking right now, I think it's a big wind risk. I think there's some marginal severe hail that could be developed out of these storms the next few days. And ultimately as well, it's going to be a pretty widespread flood risk through a lot of our areas. Some areas could really use that rain and will appreciate it. Other areas will get too much in too short of an amount of time, and we're going to see more and more flood advisories coming up. Let's go back over to our live camera network so you guys can get an idea of some of this activity. Again, Winter Garden, it's been a little bit since we've had the most potent storms come through, but we are still overcast. Hi, Smart Grandma. Good to see you as well, by the way. Spring Hill just had thunderclaps so loud it sounded like a bomb hit. Well, first of all, I appreciate you tuning in, Smart Grandma. Again, you're going to see Smart Grandma's name in green because she is a member of the channel, and I appreciate all the members who support the channel in that way. If you want to become a member, hit the join button. You get access to exclusive badges and emojis. That's why you can see that new sticker next to Smart Grandma's name. You also get access to exclusive member short videos. So in between our live streams here, I do produce some exclusive content for our members. So again, appreciate Smart Grandma being a member of the channel. Again, gray overcast there. Same situation in Sand Lake, right? A lot of gray sky here, still some rain, still some thunder in the area. So just be cautious thinking you can get out and about. If you live in the Metro Orlando area, you're likely to at least still hear some claps of thunder even under this environment, right? Even under this environment right now, you're still likely to hear some pretty good noisy storms. Yeah, William, for the most part, I would say the tornado risk is very low, but I'll monitor that situation for you guys. So again, keeping an eye on what's happening here. Keeping an eye on the chat as well. Okay. First of all, Bitcoin, I appreciate you saying that. Very kind of you. Hello, Dr. Julie James. Brooksville, a lot of thunder with moderate rain. Brooksville off of Cortez Boulevard. I appreciate that. Yeah, look again, far west coast, likely to see the more persistent, moderate to at times heavier rain. A little bit more moisture coming in from the Eastern Gulf, not necessarily severe, right? You know, behind this initial push of storms, we're not necessarily going to get the biggest, strongest storms to regenerate back into this area. Temperatures have obviously been rain cooled here a little bit. If I go back over and I bring on our current temperatures, you're going to see that a lot of this area is into the 70s because you guys had the rain early. It's going to be harder for the stronger storms to redevelop there. But look at all the areas south, right? Now, the last report out of New Smyrna at 10:47 a.m., which is, you know, a long time ago, actually, they had already hit 90 degrees, okay? Titusville, 90 degrees. Merritt Island, 90. Space Force Base, 91. Melbourne in at 90 degrees, okay? Portions of Pinellas County, southern Tampa, McDill, 88 degrees right now. South Tampa, Davis Island, 86. That's where there's plenty of heat energy for these additional stronger storms to keep going. Still good, nice moderate rain here, and it could be a while. And again, portions of Pasco and Hernando and Eastern Hillsborough and Western Polk are under flood advisories. 3 to 5 inches, maybe up to 6 inches of rain could fall. If you guys have rain gauges like Chessie does in Spring Hill, you want to let me know how much you've received today, appreciate that information as well. Storm is not stalled. Good question. This is all moving fairly fast, actually. So here's what's happening, guys. I'm going to put this back into motion for you, and it's a great question. The leading edge has good forward speed at around 30 miles an hour, But what you have is you just have this big veil, this shield of moderate rain behind you that doesn't really change much over a few hour time frame. So it might appear as if the same kind of weather is just sitting over your head. It's moving, but this is a wide swath, a wide shield of all kinds of light to moderate to heavier rain along the west coast. But the leading edge of stronger storms does have some good forward speed. That's good news to try and keep more significant flooding kind of quelled, if you will. It's bad news in the sense of that if these storms are going 30 miles an hour forward speed, it doesn't take a lot for them to get up to 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds, especially with some of the downburst outflow winds are associated with it. So forward speed, fast, good for flooding risk, bad for winds. William has 83 in Kissimmee. Liam says it's raining crazy in Brandon right now. Yeah, but it's a good storm. Good storm over Brandon, Menger, Dover, Plant City, Valrico, heading to Bloomingdale. Down 75. Again, special weather statement here. Get you the information on that. Goes until 12:15. So this should expire right now. And we'll see what they want to do from here. Still a little surprised we haven't filled in the special weather statements here, but we'll see. And again, up the road, this special weather statement continues. Well, wait a second here. Oh, I know why. I was farther back in time. I was like, why did that special weather statement extend there? Okay, now this makes more sense. Here's the new one. 1245 east at 18. Again, not bad forward speed. We're going to do some storm tracks for you guys here coming up as well. I'm going to take a quick second. Again, do my little handy reset. St. Cloud started to get hit as well. So again, not everyone is feasting. Appreciate you subbing, William. Thank you. Mike says just 0.2 of an inch of rain there in Kissimmee so far. So not everyone is feasting yet. But additional heavier rain is likely in these spots. It is going to be, there's going to be a big difference in rain totals area-wide between now and Sunday. Big differences. Some areas will probably have less than an inch of rain because that's just how it plays out. Others could pick up 4 to 6 inches on a daily basis. I don't think we're going to be talking about some crazy high totals like getting up to a foot, but it's not going to shock me if between now and Sunday we pick up 6, 8, 9 inches of rain in some areas. Hey, Megan, how you doing? Port Orange, the rain just let up, but we had about 30 to 45 minutes of super gnarly storm. I like that terminology, super gnarly. I normally go with rowdy, but I like gnarly as well. So, Megan, appreciate you tuning in from Port Orange and let me know what's happening in that area. Yeah, that was a beefy storm, however you want to put it, whatever adverb, adjective you want to use. Port Orange, Ponce Inlet down. Tremendous amount of lightning in these areas, no doubt about it. It is moving offshore. The worst part, north of Edgewater. Now, I told you we're going to do some tracking. Let's do that. You guys know I have this fickle, me and this storm track. I'm going to go east, southeast, and I'm going to average it out about 25. I think that's about the forward speed of most of this. Some could be 20, some could be 30. But I want to get those who live south and east of these storms prepared for what's going to be moving into your area through the rest of the noon hour and into 1 o'clock. So again, these storms, which could be strong, producing winds of 40 plus miles an hour. And again, right now there's no special weather statements on them, but I honestly feel like at any point in time, the Weather Service might issue additional special weather statements here. So Mims at 1220, Titusville 1229, Port St. John 1240, Sharps 1247, Cocoa 1253, Rockledge just before the top of the hour, Vieira North at 105, the Cape at 108, Merritt Island 109, and Cocoa Beach in at 115. So again, kind of some of central and the northern sides of Brevard County. We're going to follow that line south. Just do the exact same thing. Again, push it east at 25. Now, obviously, these storms are back farther west, the farther south that they go. So it's a later arrival for the southern third of Brevard County, right? Still mainly here through the noon hour, staying in Osceola County. But if you do live in Bampson Park, your area right now, Harmony, 1227, Hullapaw in at 1241. So down 192 here. Obviously, the Turnpike going to get covered up, 441 as well in Osceola County. So that's the leading edge of those storms that will be moving through the southern quarter of Volusia County, all of Brevard County, and then back into Osceola County as well. If you do live in coastal sides of Indian River County, Indian River Shores, Vero Beach, and then back down towards Fort Pierce, you have some spotty activity developing there as well. So some downpours beginning to propagate there. They did allow this special weather statement to expire, but it is still a wet lunchtime, stormy lunchtime for the greater Tampa, St. Pete area right now. Carrollwood, Temple Terrace, Mango, Brandon, Davis Island, McDill, down towards the Ruskin area. Quieter in Pinellas County so far, but a few storms are developing right now, Palm Harbor into Tarpon Springs. Let's take a look at this from the Tampa radar. Jump back into the chat as well. Bell Glades is pouring here. Thank you for that. So again, the Tampa radar being much closer to the activity here in Tampa will give you that idea. Hey, Frankie, Live Oak in the house. Appreciate that too. Hope you're doing well up there. Megan says, move back to Florida from 20 years in Cali. So hey, I can go with Darley. We can work with that. Well, thanks for coming back. I was born and raised in Florida, and I moved back about 13 years ago. So I did the same thing. I was never in California though. Never made it that far west. So again, look, this is a good storm. Now the radar site is right here in Ruskin. So it's about ready to get run over, but we can see before the storm arrives, before we get that cone of silence near the radar, if you will, which is going to kind of make this storm not look as impressive as it really is, the tremendous rain that's coming down right now, Gibsonton, up to Davis Island, Bloomingdale, Brandon, again, places like Mango, Valrico, Seffner, Dover, Temple Terrace, Nontosassa, eastern sides, anywhere east of 275, Seminole Heights would be included in that, back to East Lake. It does become a lot more spotty out west, Town and Country, Citrus Park, Odessa areas, up the Veterans Expressway, not as bad, but some decent rain also along 19, Palm Harbor, East Lake, Tarpon Springs, Holiday, the New Port Richey areas. And then again, scattered showers continuing all the way through coastal sides of Hernando and beginning to break apart in Citrus County as well. But again, Spring Hill has had over 4 inches of rain. So additional potential there for flood risk will continue. You're welcome, Frankie. Hello, Mimi. St. Cloud getting some good activity. Appreciate you tuning in from St. Cloud. Yep, East Lake Tahoe, St. Cloud area. Obviously, pretty good thunderstorm there as well. 55 lightning strikes. And again, our live camera network working for you guys, keeping an eye on things. Do not hit that button, Rusty. I wasn't close to ending the stream, but I was closer than I wanted to. Hey, Pat, how you doing? Bradenton? Sure. So there's a little cell north and east of Bradenton, Palmetto right now. This activity is moving a little bit east of south. Now, additional cells could develop over the bays and work their way into your area, but it's a little bit more conditional. If you lived a little bit farther inland, if you lived east of 75 in Manatee and Sarasota counties, I'd feel a little bit more, I'd feel a little bit better about getting some storm chances there, right? Now, it's still an active environment. There are still additional storms off the coast that could swing into your area. But in the short term, from some of the activity I'm seeing just north of you, I think it misses you east. But additional activity a little bit deeper into the Gulf or a little bit farther north could still move through that area. Again, there's not a lot of spots, guys, that are just going to be completely void of thunderstorm activity for the remainder of the day. Maybe it's a little bit lighter in nature for you guys into the afternoon hours, but again, live look to Winter Garden is still just a tropical environment. Nice overcast skies. Guys, we do have a new super chat. So I want to highlight that. So in doing so, I'm just going to stop this real quick. Again, always like to acknowledge those super chats. So here's Fox Echo, which someone who has supported the channel before said, quieted down here between Homosassa and Brooksville, $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Fox Echo. I appreciate that. Of course, you guys may know I'm a Citrus County native myself, so I know that area very well. But again, appreciate the support. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Fox Echo. You're welcome, Kish. My pleasure. Again, that's what we do. Live only channel, right? So again, no forecasts here. We'll talk about how storms will evolve and how that will impact, but you're not going to get like daily forecast videos here, okay? Live only channel. Have those notifications on. Not going to inundate you with notifications. You guys know if you get one from me, it's because there's a reason to tune in. Maybe things are quiet in your area. You can move on with your day, but I hope you sit back with your favorite beverage, tune us in for a while, and join with a fantastic growing weather community. My pleasure, Pat. Thank you, Sweet Moon Sugar. I appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words of being your weatherman. Cameron jumps in and says, I'm right around the Temple Terrace area. I've had no rain at the moment. I've gotten a few small scattered showers. Yeah, look, still going to be some areas that just miss the heaviest activity. It's still a very water-loaded, moisture-laden atmosphere. There's going to be a lot of areas that get hit pretty hard, but it's not going to be everyone. So appreciate letting us know. Again, I don't, reporting-wise, you don't necessarily have to always, even if it's benign weather, let me know what's happening in your area. If you hear a report in your spot or your city, someone's talking about how bad it is, and you haven't had much, jump in and let me know. Say, well, Russ, I had a little bit farther south than that, and I really haven't gotten much. So I appreciate that. Again, it helps tell the whole weather story, and that's what we really want to do here on the channel. Fort Meade starting to get a little bit dark with some light sprinkles. Again, the storm's moving south, so Fort Meade starting to get on the edge of that. And again, for my friends in Brevard County, the weather will start to close in, especially on the northern side of the county, Port St. John area, from Dank starting to get some darker clouds in there as well. All right. I'm going to, if you guys don't mind, again, we have all this new technology on the channel. I'm going to try something here with you guys. I want to do something real fast. So I'm just going to go full screen. Typically, I like to show you guys the cameras, but every so often, if we need to, we can go full screen. But we have a few ways to telestrate. I just want to test something out with you guys here. Okay, there we go. The last time I did this, there was a slight issue, and I have now seen how I can correct it. So the good news is, if we're talking about some storms, I can just sit here and we can do all kinds of drawings now. Boom, 1, 2. I can be like John Madden. You got 4 defensive backs coming in, 4 storms, whatever. Anyway, like I said, we're always looking to improve, your experience here. So we have a new telestration system as well. Okay, that's all I wanted to do. Thanks for letting me do that. Hey, Larry, how you doing? Good to see you tuning in again. No rain so far in St. Pete Beach. So again, farther west you go, you get into Pinellas County, and at least the first part of those storms are missing you just off towards the east. Appreciate that. Hey, Mark, how are you? Light rain at Busch Gardens. Thanks for that. Now, do Do you work there? Are you visiting there? I mean, I hope your experience there, if you are visiting, is not going to be completely a washout. I don't think it's going to be, but again, you're probably not getting out of the light rain for a while there in Busch Gardens. So Chessie coming in saying now that the rain is beginning to lighten up a bit, but still some thunder. That's the situation out there. There's still some pockets of bedded lightning within some of this activity to the north and to the west. Again, Chessie, when you get, or if you get over 4 inches of rain, let me know. And Terry coming in saying the village of Lake Tarpon, some much needed rain. Excellent. I'm glad that folks are getting some of that. Obviously, it's come at the situation where some areas have gotten too much rain in too short amount of time. So we have had some flood advisories. Just to again show you guys those. The flood advisory for Pasco and Hernando that you see on your map right now in green, that will expire at 12:45. There probably hasn't been enough rain in the last 2 hours to extend that flood advisory. But again, some areas here, 3 to 6 inches of rain. The flood advisory for eastern Hillsborough and western and central Polk counties still goes until 1:30, right? So additional areas of flooding, or at least, rising water in low-lying areas, especially ponding on roadways, things like that, are likely through the 1 o'clock hour. Flood advisories, by the way, can go for hours and hours and hours. If the rain's not moving much, they can make a flood advisory for 4, 5, 6 hours. Flash flood warnings, which means we have ongoing significant flooding or imminently significant flooding, those are more shorter duration. So your flood advisories cover a wider area and a longer duration, and then they really hone in on the flash flood warnings, and we have none of those right now. So again, this special weather statement, and I'm going to switch over, by the way, back over to the Melbourne radar. Again, have the ability to live on the fly, just switch our radars. We can go composite, meaning a combination of all the radars if we need to. We can look at our velocity product, our winds. We can do all the different things we need to do here to interrogate these storms and to bring you guys, whatever coverage we need to on a daily basis. I obviously just tailor my coverage based on the impacts, where they're going, what I expect, and we just move on from there. Work, live, retired. Gotcha, Mark. So again, this special weather statement right now, southeast Volusia, sneaking into northern Brevard County, next 13 minutes, right? Yep. East at 18, 50-mile-an-hour winds, far northern sides of Brevard County. Now look, this is still some pretty potent activity that'll be moving into Titusville right now, Indian River City, Port St. John, Sharps, across the 405, into the Cape, then across the NASA Causeway to the Kennedy Center Visitor Complex. Unfortunately, it's going to probably close in fairly quickly now there. Sharps, Cocoa, Rockledge, and then this line tails off a little bit farther west. So we'll have to see from like kind of Satellite Beach area, just north here, we're talking like Vieira area, north, Suntree, yeah, Pineda Causeway, south, O'Galley included, how long it takes for this to move in. Now look, still a little bit of sea breeze action. Still could get a couple of thunderstorms just popping up by themselves. Here's one right now, west of Melbourne on the 192 area here, east of Holopau. So here's a couple of isolated storms that have literally just fired up in the last 5 or 10 minutes. That does look like it's moving east. Again, tremendous water-loaded environment. We're not going to be following just one line. There will be areas like this that can develop by themselves too. So if you do live, by the way, June Park, Melbourne, Palm Bay, this little cell, which has pulsed up fairly quickly, you saw that last little jog from our live radar scan, should be moving back to the east as well. Thank you, Sharon. Rain has ended in the Inverness area of Citrus County. Appreciate that. Yep, beginning to fall apart in northern sides of Citrus County. Inverness, 44 towards Lecanto, Crystal River up 41 towards Hernando. Rain is ending. Still a little bit of shower activity. Homosassa Springs, Sugar Mill Woods, Floral City. And then it does continue to pick up more back into Hernando County right now east into Sumter County, Villages, Wildwood, moderate to light rain still continuing there. Ocala is beginning to kind of break out too. You notice that even from this radar view, there's additional few little cells developing north. That's something to watch later into the afternoon hours if any of those cells want to pulse back up and try and make a run back into our area. Our Brevard County friends starting to tune in. Saltwater Sandy, 1233, sprinkling in O'Galley. So just beginning to develop there. Okay. So Brenda, Foot Posh Bird, is now a member of the Storm Squad. Appreciate you very much, Brenda. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for becoming the newest member of the Storm Squad. You now have your custom badges and emojis and access to live exclusive member short videos in between these live streams. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Brenda. I'm going to fire back up my stream here. Give me just 1 second. So I'll have to do something else real quick. There we go. Yeah, awesome, guys. Thank you. All right. So again, fan funding so far on the channel for right now. Maria, thank you for your $1.99 support. Mark, by the way, if I missed you, I'm sorry, my friend. Thank you for the $2 super chat. I try and make sure I catch every single one of them, but thank you for the $2 super chat, Mark. And then Fox Echo with the $10 super chat, and Brenda becoming the newest member of the Storm Squad here on the channel. Thank you to all of those friends of the channel for supporting us in that way. Again, easy way to support us. Take a quick second, hit that like button for me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so as well. Again, notifications on, live only channel, Central Florida's live only weather channel for you right here. MK says pouring in Lithia. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you guys know I know 99% of our areas. Help me out a little bit, but I believe Lithia is in this area. You can tell me if I'm wrong. Sometimes the map won't show everything. Sometimes I have to go back and modify the map, but I appreciate that. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. So Rob has a great question. How do you join the Storm Squad? There should be on this live stream a button that says join. If not, on the homepage of CFLW YouTube channel, you should see the join button. That's how you join the Storm Squad. You become a member of the channel, and there is a monthly membership fee, but it's just a small way to support the channel. And we give you a little bit of perks if you guys want to do so. You get the custom badges and emojis. Your names are in green in our live streams. I shout you guys out. And then one of the other tangible things is I do member-only short videos in between these live streams with kind of my behind-the-scenes thoughts when I next might be on, the next impactful weather as well. So again, it's a small way to support the channel, but I do appreciate those who have taken that extra step and become part of the Storm Squad. You're welcome. Again, pretty good storm here while I've just been in this area. Gibsonton, Bloomingdale, Brandon, and Dover. You can see these cells just firing up right now over the radar. So we are getting a little bit of activity out ahead of the main line. It is just starting to fire up right now. O'Galley, Indian Harbor Beach, Melbourne area. Again, this is the cone of silence, if you will, from the radar. So there's likely a thunderstorm right over the Melbourne radar site. June Park, west across 192. And just following that line coming through right now. These are still wind gusts, by the way, that are solidly at 30 miles an hour up and down I-4. All right, so here we go. Palm Bay, winds beginning to pick up. Like mine's in from Miko saying rumbling lightning strikes. Starting to get some thunder there. Dagger and Central Mare Island dry so far, but the temperatures dropped. If you guys do live in these areas, you're likely to feel that gust front. But today, whew, I mean, it may not drop the temperature much. Correct, south of Bloomingdale. Thank you, MK. I thought so. And I'll look to add that to the map too. So, you know, Mimi asked about YouTube and super chats and all of that. The only thing I'll say is that there are also direct links in the description of the video if you'd like to support that way as well. All I'm going to say about that, but if you would like to support in a direct way outside of super chats, there are direct links you can find in the description of the channel. All right, so the Layla TV says Lakeland had a bad flood, so thank I got home. So if you wouldn't mind giving me a little bit more information on that. Lakeland is under a flood advisory. So if you had any areas of Lakeland that you went through that either had covered roadways or roads that were closed or blocked, please let us know. JPAC jumping in from St. Pete, 4th Street, 62nd Avenue, starting to get downpours. So it's beginning to build into Pinellas County, right? Far east side. There you go. Just beginning to move in. But look, again, you missed kind of the first heaviest line here. But there's additional activity that should be coming down 19. So Brenda, again, the newest Storm Squad member, says it's rough here in St. Cloud. Thanks for keeping me up to date, Brenda. Hopefully for your area, it should begin to alleviate in about 10 minutes. Starting to see the highest reflectivity in our bright reds here beginning to move out of St. Cloud. Now you're still going to be with the overcast skies and some light rain and some lightning, but at least the most torrential downpours in St. Cloud should begin to fall apart a bit. Larry has some light rain. Hello, honey. How are you? Land O'Lakes, north of Tampa. Having some thunderstorms right now. Yeah, pretty widespread, guys. I appreciate that. Keep it coming in. So Land O'Lakes here in Pasco County, again, just kind of embedded within all of this activity. The radars that we're using here in Tampa and Melbourne and even Jacksonville, they're having a tough time cutting through all this activity. They really are. You know, strong storms, it's probably making it look weaker in Pasco and Hernando than what it really is. And even if I go over to the Tampa radar, you know, you got a good storm just north of the radar site. Again, probably making it look a little bit weaker than what it actually is. There's the Tampa site. So there you go. Again, a little bit easier to see some of the storms off of our west coast. Again, Newport Richey, Tarpon Springs, Palm Harbor. That's all coming down your way. Let's track out. And by the way, look how quickly this has propagated and developed. Outflow boundary right here in green, going to smash into some of these storms. Could get very interesting in central and southern Brevard County. So tracking that line, right, let us ignore the isolated activity out ahead of it. You know, there's going to be developing storms right over portions of Brevard County, but following the line that could be coming in, Cocoa right now, north, Cocoa right now, Rockledge 1246, the Cape 1253. So let me extend this line so everyone can see everything. Cocoa Beach 101, Satellite Beach 114, Indian Harbor Beach and West Melbourne at 117, Melbourne at 121, Palm Bay at 127. Again, the caveat is some of these areas are already getting some storms. This is the line that's going to be moving through out of Osceola County and into Brevard County. You can clearly see additional storms had developed coastal Indian River County, then all the way back down towards Fort Pierce, Port St. Lucie, and the Stewart areas. Special marine warning is in effect for these areas as well, all the way up towards Daytona Beach. So boaters, mindful, get back into safe harbor. You don't want to be caught in exposed waters here. Nothing on the west coast as of now, but look, storms are moving into Hillsborough and Tampa Bays. Probably not great for non-commercial boats to be out there right now. Great Patriot says skies are darkening here in Palm Bay. Appreciate that. Report from the Tampa area. Heavy rain just started off the Howard Franklin Bridge, Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. Again, appreciate all the information, guys. It's awesome. Smart Grandma, one of the members of the channel, says some flooding in Spring Hill, Mariner, and Marnock. Got it. Oh, with the face blue smiling. So one thing that we'll work on that. It depends on, some of the emojis will actually come up as emojis on our chat through our system. Others will give you the kind of breakdown, and that is the face blue smiling. I'm not exactly sure why, because some of the emojis actually come through and some of them don't. But that's why I was wondering. It's like, that's an interesting road name, and then I realized it was the emoji symbol. So Kish comes in and says, great news, cool down at 75 in Land O'Lakes. So again, behind this, your temperatures are going to be back into the 70s. Ahead of it, temperatures have still been able to hold in the upper 80s to the lower 90s. That's why there's enough juice in the atmosphere to continue these stronger storms. Behind it, though, obviously a little bit weaker. Now, that 90 is an old report up in Ormond Beach. I haven't looked at the special local storm reports yet, but let's get into that. There were some storms a little bit earlier before I came on up in Flagler County. So up in Flagler County in the Bunnell area, power pole wire reported down in the 300 block of South Anderson Street. So there you go. And then again, you guys know I mention this all the time. We are not void of automated sensors in Brevard County, especially near Cape Canaveral, because of all of the space interests there. So they have all of these towers, all of these sensors. We have the Space Force base there. And so we get a plethora of information as storms come through. So at 12:25, Haulover Canal area, 43-mile-an-hour wind. Tower 19. All right, starting to get the rain in Mico. Hey, Courtney, how you doing? Cocoa right now getting dark, but no rain yet. It's a coming, for sure. Yeah, like mine says pouring in Mico. Dank says pouring in Port St. John right now. Yeah, it's beginning to move in, guys, no doubt about it. So let's get back into this area, a little bit closer view for you. Again, solid thunderstorm right now. 140 lightning strikes, Titusville, Mims, decent. It even picks up more Indian River City, Port St. John Sharps, beginning to close in across Merritt Island, across the 528, back down towards Rockledge. Okay, going to get wet across the Indian River, heading over to the Banana River. Rockledge, Vieira North, places like Fisk Boulevard, Wickham Road, Suntree, back down towards Pineda and the Pineda Causeway. Right, it's heading your way towards the Space Force base, Satellite Beach. Again, additional storms have developed ahead of the main line here, right? The Melbourne radar has a storm right over it right now. I'll zoom out real quick just to show you guys. If we go over to the Tampa radar, it's not going to be the best view, but it shows you again that there is a storm right over the Melbourne radar site. So Melbourne, O'Galley, June Park, Palm Bay, drifting east to the Barrier Islands, Indian Harbor Beach, Indian Atlantic, Melbourne Beach, all getting that thunderstorm, which is kind of just out there by itself, but is really pulsed up and producing some heavy rain and some lightning. And that one's not moving very quickly. So these areas could pick up a quick inch of rain. And again, that line is still coming in. So those are going to merge, right? This kind of conglomerate of isolated activity is going to merge with our main line. And there's the opportunity that we could have some slow, erratic movement through Brevard County for a while, and that could produce additional areas of heavier rain in the central and the northern sides of the county. Again, this is still a very good storm over the western sides of Hillsborough County. If you live in Tampa, Palm River, Claremelle, near the Air Force Base in Davis Island and Gibsonton, along 75 and just west, down 41, maybe even down 301 as well. So Ruskin, if you live in Ruskin, you're about to get hit pretty good. Again, there's been a couple of cells that have crossed the bay and the far eastern sides of Pinellas County. More moderate rain, Town and Country, Carrollwood, Citrus Park, up the Veterans, Palm Harbor, Topper Springs, up 19 towards Holiday and Newport Richey. Richard, good to see you. That was a good catch. You guys missed my cat-like reflexes, but I almost lost my tumbler. That was a no-look catch, by the way. I'm actually impressed with myself. If you guys only knew. All right, we'll take it as a win. Had a big thunder boomer here over Malabar Road near Three Forks. Definitely on its way. Appreciate that. Yeah, everyone does want the rain, but not the other stuff. Look, that's the situation, guys. We're desperate for the rain, right? We still are at a drought. We're improving conditions pretty quickly along the East Coast. The West Coast is a different story, but we just don't want the severe weather risk. Unfortunately, the situation and the environment that we're in is going to give us a few areas of potential impactful weather. The first is the opportunity for flooding rains. This is your excessive rainfall outlook today, and it does include all of our areas. So basically, tropical nature to the environment, squeezing it out like a wet sponge, areas of significant rain. We've already had 4 counties under flood advisories for today, and we're just getting started. Again, this is a multi-day event, okay? This is an event that is at least going to linger through Saturday, if not Sunday. Now, it's not persistent all-day rain and storms, but rounds of waves, rounds of rain and storms that could produce strong to severe weather and the opportunity for some flooding as well. For today, the risk from the Storm Prediction Center in your darker green is at marginal risk 1 out of 5 from the Orlando area up towards the north. That is your marginal risk of severe storms. It doesn't mean that we can't get severe storms farther south than that. Again, this is just a line on a map, but the general thought from the Storm Prediction Center is the closer to the boundary, right? And that boundary is here. The closer to the boundary that those storms are going to be, the better chance for those storms to become severe. A little bit farther away, we lose a little bit of that mid and upper level energy support, and the storms fall apart a bit. But there's still that flood risk even farther south from where we have the actual severe weather risk. Oh crap, it's really dark here. Yeah, Linda, it is. I mean, going to be some good thunderstorms rolling through Brevard County, no doubt. Boy, if only, right? Hey, I'll take the win. Like I said, I was not going to want to have to stop and go get more diet green tea. Again, William, thank you for the kind words. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Again, you guys make this channel. I can't tell you that enough. I have no interest in talking to myself for hours and hours on end. So you guys coming in the chat, let me know what's happening. Again, really important, because if we get some significant reports out of you guys, we can pass that on to the Weather Service offices and let them know. Again, I've already mentioned that if you have had some damage in your area, you can tweet the Weather Service offices in Melbourne or in Tampa or in Jacksonville, or you can send them a local storm report via their website. They like that information. We want to work in conjunction with them and pass along that information, because then they can make it a public notice, if you will, and then others will understand the kind of weather that's coming into your area. Thunder now really rocking in Palm Bay. Any of these storms moving into Clearwater? Yeah, the storms that are far enough west are going to begin to move into the Clearwater area here. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to take my first quick break of our entire live stream. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. We're going to play our loop for you guys. Stay in the chat. Again, I'll be just a minute or two, and we'll be right back with our continuing coverage. I'll see you in just a second. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. My mic should be on now, right? Okay, I'm back. Raise your hand if you didn't get to have lunch and you just slammed a granola bar down in 6.5 seconds. That's me. Appreciate you guys sticking around, though. I ran out of diet green tea, so we switched over to the vitamin water. Okay, let's get back into what's happening across the area now. While I took that brief break, they did what we expected them to do, and that is issue a special weather statement for Brevard County, right? Winds of up to 50 miles an hour. This is a pretty potent storm. I was actually surprised they didn't issue it a little bit earlier, but they went ahead and pulled the trigger on this. So let me give you the details of this special weather statement. It's going to go until 1:30. It's moving east at 18, winds of 50 miles an hour, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, Rockledge, Cocoa, all included in this special weather statement. Many other areas than that, but those are kind of some of the larger populated areas. They can't list them all in that little summary, but you get the idea. So again, this is going to be for Brevard County. Severe thunderstorm, including southeast, orange, northeast, Osceola, barely. All right, so strong thunderstorm along a line from Titusville to near Camp Holly Fish Camp to Sebastian Inlet, moving east at 20. Winds of 50 will be the main threats out of this. Again, frequent lightning strikes, some ponding on roadways, some flooding of low-lying areas, not out of the question. We talked about the activity right over Melbourne. There's a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust. That is why they issued this special weather statement. Okay, they got a ground truth report from themselves right at the Weather Service of a 41-mile-an-hour wind. So they went ahead and hoisted this up for winds of around 50. And to me, I think that's right. I think we're going to see some winds in this area of over 40 miles an hour. Now, the interesting thing about this is the lightning has faded a bit on the line down here. It's the individual activity right around the Weather Service radar, Melbourne, Melbourne Village, Indian Atlantic, Melbourne Beach, Indian Harbor Beach, the Space Force Base, places like that, where the lightning count has gone up and the winds are quite fresh right now, okay? Back down towards Malabar, Grant, Valcaria, 192 is pretty covered up. Again, kind of tracking that line. You can see some of the times of arrival. It's going to be difficult to give you guys this baseline. Here comes the storm, it's moving in. It's a very congested environment, really. I mean, you know, some areas that just saw a time of arrival well beyond what the current time is, they're getting hammered right now. Let me jump back into the chat. I appreciate everyone just kind of hanging out as well. It's really awesome. So Dagger says they're getting hit right now. Richard has some rain finally in Melbourne as well. Kevin has some heavy lightning. Naomi has some heavy rain and frostproof. So, you know, well away from here, back into our southern areas, southern Polk County. Got some heavy rain there. Again, this leading edge on the south end is going to be your most significant activity. I think now that we're at 1 o'clock, I think I have a little bit better idea of how this is going to play out for the remainder of the afternoon hours. This is going to be the round one of strongest storms, and then the opportunity for additional activity to develop north of here later this afternoon or this evening. But that's very conditional, right? We know what's happening now. We know the storm's moving through. Improving conditions from northwest to southeast for the majority of us in the afternoon hours. So, you know, the rain is already beginning to break apart. Citrus County, Marion County, Northern Lake, portions of Volusia and into Flagler County. Still some good storms, though, back into portions of Hernando and Pasco, southern Sumter, southern Lake counties, all of Hillsborough, all of Polk County, some of Pinellas County, moving into Manatee and Sarasota, and then areas off towards the east. Kind of moderate rain over Orange County, but everything should be fading away slowly the farther north and west that you live over the next few hours, but still some rowdy storms to our south. And then things might quiet down a bit late this afternoon and the early evening for all of us before, again, a potential additional round of storms either later tonight. But again, tomorrow, you know, we're going to be firing it back up. Autumn has heavy rain in Brandon, so there you go, in Hillsborough County. Like mines, lightning struck 3 miles from me in Mico. I would not be shocked if you get a strike even closer than that. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of lightning with this, guys. Again, in this view, in the last 15 minutes, 670 lightning strikes. Absolutely coming down right now with a tremendous amount of lightning. I'm going to drop off the special weather, the special marine warning, just to try and get a couple of lines off of the map here. But again, pretty gnarly. Mims and Titusville, even worse, Indian River City, Port St. John, right over Merritt Island right now. 40-mile-an-hour wind gust in Merritt Island, another 40. So you have widespread 40-mile-an-hour winds. I'm going to take a look at that with our velocity product. So switch over to the velocity here, right? Again, I mentioned to you guys, if there's one area that's always concerning for the opportunity for a brief water spout or tornado, it is right along our immediate coastlines, especially when you have the land and water interaction you have in Brevard County, because you go from land to water over Merritt Island, back to land, back to water, back to land. And so the friction differences between that environment as these storms move through can spin up some brief water spouts. There's a little bit of broad rotation in this right here. Again, I'm looking for greens and reds close to each other. It's nothing significant, but if you do see some base clouds moving through that shelf cloud in Brevard County right now, there's likely some broad rotation association with that. Hey, Colleen, how you doing? Space Coast getting hit. Oh, 0.3 miles. Got it. Your point and your 3 were one space apart, but now I see it. "23-mile-an-hour wind right now, little handheld anemometer." Those are cool, though. Don't be outside in the storm, though. But you understand, again, now we have 2 reports several miles apart of 40-mile-an-hour winds. This is some extremely strong wind, by the way, coming off of the Indian Atlantic Melbourne Beach area. You know, these are winds, again, ground truth, because the Melbourne radar is right there, of well over 40 miles an hour. So you do have some really strong winds from Satellite Beach back to Indian Harbor and Melbourne Beach, which is pushing offshore right now. So they had a good gust front come in with some of those storms. You can see the outflow boundary here, so additional storms are likely to develop far eastern sides of Osceola County and then work their way into southern Brevard. Again, it's going to be hard to give you guys storm tracks. I got to be honest. You can just see how congested everything is. The bottom line is, if you live in the southern quarter, southern third of Brevard County, it's coming. If it's not there already, it's coming. Melbourne, Palm Bay, Grant, Valcaria, Mickle, Barefoot Bay. Special weather statement does go all the way to the Indian River County border. Rain continues to be fairly impressive southern Polk County. Again, we have just some good, solid thunderstorms. Again, this one is right over the Ruskin radar. We'll switch over to the Tampa radar just to show you that one if you do live in Hillsborough County. Gibsonton, Bloomingdale, Ruskin, Brandon, Mango. There's McDill, Tampa, Temple Terrace. Solid thunderstorm here. Again, not severe, but still producing some very heavy rainfall. Real quick look at the advisories again. So we have dropped the flood advisory for Hernando and Pasco. We continue with the flood advisory for, it's technically inland Hillsborough County or eastern Hillsborough County, but it's really just the far eastern side of Hillsborough County, and then central and western Polk County until 2:30 now. That's a new one. Let me get you the update on that. There's a new flood advisory here. They just issued it a little bit ago. So now 2:30. Again, 3 to 6 inches now. Tampa, Temple Terrace, Fishhawk, Brandon, Riverview, Palm River, Carmel, East Lake, Orient Park, Mulberry, Lithia, Springs State Park, Bloomingdale, Boyette, Valrico, Alafeo River State Park, Dover, Seffner, Progress Village, Mango, Gibsonton, Palm River, and Thonotassa. All right, if you live in those areas, you are now under a flood advisory until 2:30. That just means that there's been excessive rainfall, flooding could occur. Doesn't necessarily mean it is occurring or that it's imminent, but there's been enough rain where flooding could occur in some areas, especially low-lying areas, the areas that collect the water first. If you live in those areas and you know those spots, they likely have some water in them. 3 to 6 inches of rain in those areas. Gotcha, Dagger. So again, you know, these are the concerning things I hear about. I've never seen a flood like this in Lakeland, right? So again, we've had extremely heavy rainfall in these areas. We have the severe weather threat out east. We've had some significant rain out west. And let me be clear, this is day one of a multi-day event. Saturated soils, when round two comes tomorrow, not going to be good. Someone I saw in chat asked very quickly, what are the rainfall estimated totals? We've looked at that once, but I'm happy to go back and show you guys again. This is 12-hour rainfall totals here. And let me be clear, it takes a little bit of time for the newest information to get into this system. So we're probably 45 minutes to an hour behind, but here is what we're talking about. These are estimated rainfall totals in a pretty quick amount of time. Again, Plant City, Dover, western sides of Lakeland, Bloomingdale, all over 3-5 inches of rain. This is your flash flood, this is your flood advisory area for 3 to 6. And we've already have a radar estimated of 3 to 5. So those are areas of flooding. To give you an idea, Chessie, who's in the chat, had 4 inches of rain or so in Spring Hill. We're estimating 4.1. That's pretty good ground truth data, right? You know, the 4 inches on the ground, the radar estimate of 4.1, meaning that we're not far away from all of this. And again, a lot of these storms came in a little bit earlier in the day in Hernando and Pasco counties. I don't know if it was Pinellas County, not a ton here, but again, this is not the newest information yet. It takes a little bit of time for the system to take the latest radar sweeps and to put them into the data here. Obviously, we had some significant storms here across portions of Volusia County as well. Now, again, these are just estimates. Sometimes it can really miss the very concentrated, isolated, significant rain. It's not going to shock me if we have double these totals in a couple of spots. It's not out of the question whatsoever. But that is of a concern here in those areas. Rain pouring now in Palm Bay. Appreciate that. And again, just real quickly looking at rainfall rates. If you guys see anywhere in these blacks, these are rainfall rates of at least 3 inches an hour, but well above that through portions of western Hillsborough County. Same situation here. Look at what's happening here. These are water-loaded storms in Brevard County. Extremely significant rainfall rates. Portions of Merritt Island up towards the Cape. Look, 5-6 inches of rain an hour. Even if the storm's moving at 20 or 30 miles an hour, you get at least half that. You get at least 3 in a lot of these spots. Big time torrential rain. You guys also probably know, if you've been watching the channel, I also have access to buoy data, right? So we get to the coast, you know, why not check in with our buoys as well, just to see if there's any stronger winds out there. So we'll leave that information up on the screen too. But at times of tropical weather, right? At times when we're tracking a tropical storm live for you guys, I do have access to all of the buoy data here in the Gulf and the Atlantic, all the information that they provide. So, you know, we have great coverage when it comes to times of tropical systems, and we'll see if anything plays out this year. But if you are one of the first subscribers of the channel, some of the first events I covered were Hurricanes Helene and Milton on the channel. So we do that as well. Lightning is pretty intense, really pouring there in southwest Palm Bay. Yeah, this is an area, again, we just looked at the rainfall rates here. It's up to 5 or 6 inches of rain an hour in these areas, right? Indian Harbor, Melbourne, Palm Bay. And again, we're looking at this from the Tampa radar right now because the Melbourne radar, we wouldn't get a very good view of that particular storm. If you are just tuning in, there is a special weather statement here, meaning it's a very strong storm with winds that could be producing up to 50 miles an hour. Forward speed is east at around 18, so 15 to 20 miles an hour. Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, Rockledge, and Cocoa, some of the larger areas included. But within this special weather statement, you've got Indian River City, you've got Port St. John's, Sharps, and Cocoa, Merritt Island, the Cape, Rockledge, Vieira North, on over towards Suntree, Pineda, and the Pineda Causeway, and Palm Shores, and our friends in O'Galley, in the Atlantic, and June Park, Melbourne Beach, Palm Bay, Malabar, Grant, Valkyria, even down towards Mico and Barefoot Bay. So a big old chunk of Brevard County is under this special weather statement until 1:30. Again, improving, but very slow to improve conditions up the Orlando metro area, north and west, beginning to clear out just a little bit more. Southern side of this is your most potent activity. Southern sides and western sides of Hillsborough County. So this is going to try and get into Manatee County shortly. We're trying to eke additional rain back into Pinellas County. We're starting to see some sneak into Tarpon Springs and Palm Harbor and Dunedin and Safety Harbor. You can see the numbers on your screen. That's wind gusts in miles an hour. So we have some of the buoy data in the bays, the marine observation areas. We have the airports. We have other what we call METAR sites. And I can always just check those out. But the numbers that you see are just going to be the winds being produced out of these storms. Appreciate you saying that, Dagger. Spent a lot of time, not only developing these graphics or working with the system to refine the graphics, but also in a way that I can quickly get to them and show you guys things in a rapid fire fashion. I don't want to sit here and go, hey man, give me 30 seconds. Let me switch over this. So again, it helps tell the weather story. It's just part of it. The graphics, it's a visual medium. Obviously, you guys are watching on your TVs or on your tablets or on your phones. It's a visual medium. We want to have a lot of information for you guys available, and in a way that you guys, visually enjoy, but it helps to tell the weather story overall as well. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, we do have our live camera network here in Central Florida, monitoring the situation. These are all live cameras for you right now. Conway on the southeast side of downtown Orlando, Winter Garden, it's still just gray. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It's just a gray sky in Winter Garden here, and I'm just going to reset that camera real quickly. Still believe it's still a live situation. But anyway, that'll pop up in just a second. Sand Lake on both sides, southeast and southwest. Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like in Winter Garden right now, and over in Lake Buena Vista. Every so often, let me just double check. And then over in Lake Buena Vista, again at the attraction. So we do have you covered there in a multitude of ways, a variety of ways that we can continue to watch these cameras for you guys and bring those up for you. And of course, we also have the ability here to, show those cameras with myself at the same time. The really neat thing is if we're into a really intense severe thunderstorm and I zoom into the radar, we can bring that camera up live and basically have it as a split screen. So you can see what that thunderstorm is doing and we can track that thunderstorm together. And of course, you guys jumping in really helps out a lot. Courtney says we're getting a lot of rain there in Cocoa. You got it, IG Deadly says, Rusty, thank you so much. I've only started recently watching, but I've already seen some amazing things. Well, I appreciate the kind words. And again, hopefully it's a completely unique experience for you guys. And I promise you there's a lot more to come. I mean, one thing I've always said for those who have been subscribers and followers of the channel, I think we've been doing this about 18 months. It's, obviously there's a distinct wet and dry season. So we, aren't on as often during the dry season. It just, again, when it's impactful, we're on. But what I always told the folks who are supporting the channel, either by being members or through super chats or whatever, is that I promise you we're reinvesting those dollars into the channel. And I hope you guys have seen that. If you go back and look at the streams from last year, this is all completely different, right? We have a lot more technology here, new cameras, new lighting in the studio, completely redid the studio, and we have a lot more coming your way. Again, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, as they say, but if you're enjoying this, there's even better coverage on the way. So look forward to bringing you guys that additional experience down the road. Oldsmar rain's coming. Cocoa, lots of rain. Foxtown hunkering down to the bathroom, southeast Palm Bay, big lightning and winds. Yeah, the entire line is what's considered to be a special weather statement storm. This is the strongest part. Right here. This chunk of this storm, June Park, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Malabar, Indian Harbor Beach. Again, we're looking at this from the Tampa radar right now, only because the Melbourne radar is just covered up in this storm. But if I bring it up for you guys, give me just 1 second here. There we go. I mean, you get a little bit better perspective. I just don't like the fact that, again, you can't see everything here, but that is a lot of high reflectivity right over these areas. And it just has kind of spread itself out west to east. So here's another problem. This storm has not moved. We got to watch out for the opportunity for some flooding here. If you guys live in this area, probably best to let this storm just get on by. It might take a while. I mentioned how, again, as the line comes in and merges with the isolated activity that developed ahead of it, that you're going to get slow, erratic movement for a while. And all that's really happened in the last half hour is this storm has just expanded. Let me put this into motion. Half-hour view here, guys. Well, right now, maybe it's just a 6-minute view. There we go. I was like, hopefully it's more than just 6 minutes. But here it is. So look what's happened here. Again, the line caught up with the stationary storms. Now they've merged. Now they're even more elongated west to east, and they are really slow moving. So I am concerned about all of Brevard County, right, within this special weather statement and seeing some damaging winds. But the intense part, or the most intense part, is right here, right along this swath. A lot of heavy rain, ton of lightning, significant amount of just rough weather here, which could lead to some localized flooding, maybe even some tree damage too. You can see the wind gust there. Again, a lot of reports from the Melbourne Weather Service office. Nothing outrageous, 40-mile-an-hour wind, but that can still knock down some power lines with the tree damage if that comes through. Again, you can get some gusty winds in association with this too. Just going to reset again real fast. Surf's up in Sebastian Inlet. I send your channel to friends in other states when they are headed here. Best channel by far. Thanks for all you do. Hey, I appreciate that, Rare Breeds. Yeah, thank you for that. Again, and part of that is one reason why we have a lot of the cameras by the attractions. We know folks are outside of the attractions area all times, right? Locals, visitors from across the country. So letting those folks know. And part of the thing that I always ask you guys to do is if you know someone who's outdoors, I don't care where they are in Central Florida, but if you know someone who's outdoors golfing, enjoying the beach, out boating, and maybe they're just not paying as much attention to the weather as you are on a daily basis or that day because they're focused on their activity, and you're watching, give them a call, give them a text, give them a heads up, say, hey, look, I'm watching Central Florida Weather Live. Rusty's tracking some storms heading your way. You might want to be cautious. Here's a link to the channel. Something like that. All of that really helps out too. So thank you for that. Appreciate all the shares with those folks who live locally or those folks across the country. Again, we have folks who watch the channel from really all over the planet. I know some friends jump in from the UK sometimes, and Canada watches, and the Bahamas, and others as well. Hey, Days, Largo in the house. Good to see you. Okay, so Smart Grandma says 4.1 there in Timber Pines and Spring Hill. So there you go. Again, Smart Grandma 4.1. Chessie had 4-ish, and we had the radar estimate of 4.1. So ground truth data, radar estimates, I think we can pretty much bullseye and say if you live in the Spring Hill area, you had 4 inches of rain today with some flooding. So this special weather statement is going to go for the next 8 minutes. My thought initially would be that they'll allow the northern side of this to expire. Again, it doesn't mean it's not potent up here, but likely maybe just below special weather statement criteria. Could they extend it a little bit? Maybe, but remember, a lot of the worst part of this storm is now getting off of the coast of Brevard County. So it's still going to be persistent rain with some good embedded thunderstorms over Merritt Island, which, by the way, again, 40-mile-an-hour wind gust there, and that was at 12:55, not too long ago, 27 minutes ago. Rockledge, Cocoa Sharps, slow improvement, but still some steadier, heavier rain. It's this area, especially because there's a lot more meat, if you will, off towards the west, and it's a rowdier storm. This is the area that if they're going to extend the special weather statement beyond 130, this is the area I would expect, because there's still a lot of it onshore. You know, again, if it comes offshore, there's special marine warnings right now. I just took those off because it's a little bit easier to see, but there are special marine warnings which encompass all of these thunderstorms off of coastal Brevard County. Again, the rain is beginning to look like it's just beginning to fall apart a bit. Southern Osceola County. Whatever additional rain is falling in this area is no good, because that's where we have the flood advisories. Starting to see some of that rain work its way down 19 a bit more in Pinellas County. So Tarpon Springs and East Lake and Dunedin and Safety Harbor, headed towards Clearwater Beach and the beaches there, including Bel Air and Indian Rocks, Indian Shores and Bay Pines and Seminole, will all likely get covered up with showers and storms in the next 45 minutes. Now, it's a more narrow swath, right? You get up into Citrus County, actually get up into Hernando County, and things have already cleared out a bit here. So again, my thoughts on this is round one for today, that the most potent storms will continue along the southern edge. Once those get out of our area, we'll be left with overcast skies and some light to moderate rain, still some embedded rumbles of thunder, but nothing of extreme consequence, okay? And then we'll have to watch out together, if you will, for the opportunity for more storms to develop late today, or does the next round not come until tomorrow? But tomorrow, Saturday, and likely Sunday are still to be very active weather days here in Central Florida. So again, appreciate Days there in the Loggo area checking this out. Hope you're doing well. So Gray Patriot says the front swell is already full. There's going to be some areas of flood here in Brevard County. Now, again, that could be just localized, right? Ponding on roadways, flooding of low-lying areas. What we don't want, though, is the urban and street flash flooding. You don't want water covering roadways, starting to close off roads, starting to cause some problems there, flooded out cars, things like that. Again, you know, we've had someone in the Lakeland area talk about how they haven't seen this kind of flooding ever, and that flood advisory continues. Luckily, I haven't seen a flash flood warning yet, but 3 to 6 inches of rain is going to cause some problems. Look at a couple of things here real fast, guys. And just going over to our local storm reports. One thing I'll tell you for sure is the automated reporting of these local storm reports will always have more in Brevard County than any other county. It's because of all of the space, business going on there. They have to have a lot of wind data, a lot of weather information for these launches. So up and down the Brevard County coast, we have a ton of these towers, which will give us automated data. So 43-mile-an-hour wind gust at Haulover. At the Cape, we had a 43. Oh, good old Tower 1, probably one of the first ones. By the way, you can almost see here street level mapping. These are all your launch complexes on the Cape. Then right across the NASA Causeway, they had a 40. Merritt Island, 39. You guys saw that earlier. Here's the Melbourne International with a 41. Again, right by the Melbourne National Weather Service office. And then in the Malabar Grant Valkyria area, Mesonet Station in Valkyria had a 41-mile-an-hour wind. That's the Valkyria Airport. So again, a lot of reporting stations in Brevard County. Did I miss anyone other here? Earlier, we had some winds up in Palm Coast and northern Volusia County, but those are a little bit older. Hey, Jared, good to see you, man. 0.6 of an inch of rain and a gust of 28, Port St. John so far. Yeah, appreciate that. Absolutely. Look, we cover Central Florida. Look, there's no geographic boundaries on this, guys. That's the great thing about it. If there's some storms up in Jacksonville or Gainesville or back down to Lake Placid or whatever, and they're important, I'm going to cover them. but we focus on Central Florida. We focus on, all areas, and, but it's not as if I only can cover Orlando or I can only cover Tampa. I mean, that's the great thing about doing this is we can go on for as long as we need to, and we can cover the areas that we need to on an event basis, right? Never jump onto an event here thinking, oh man, I'm only going to cover these spots or whatever. It's just, okay, how's the weather going to play out? Let's keep folks prepared in these areas. But yeah, it is focused in on Central Florida. And again, if you're getting something out of this, thanks for taking a quick second, hit the like button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel as well. Again, we have our live camera network and continuing to look to expand that as well. If you want to be a sponsor of the channel like the Lean Law Firm is, you can scan that QR code. It takes you to our email. Already has the subject line filled in. Drop me a line, say, hey, Rusty, I'm interested, I own a local business, I'm interested in sponsoring, either being a part of the channel sponsorship or one of our cameras, and we can talk. So appreciate those who have reached out in that way as well. Okay, so here's an interesting one. Appreciate this. This is Half Acre Homestead says, I just had to bail water from my shed for an hour. It was to the skids and almost got inside. Newport Richey, Oyster Bayou. Appreciate that. Now, this is an interesting part because this storm has not moved very quickly right along coastal areas of southern Pasco and northern Pinellas counties. So it's interesting to show you that, look, there is some significant rain falling enough now where it's causing some problems here. Newport Richey South, I think Holiday, Tarpon Springs, Palm Harbor are in on that as well. This little string of storms, which extends back off of into the Eastern Gulf, is just not moving very quickly. Appreciate that report. Thank you very much. And I hope there's no additional flooding in your area. Nightbot is our bot. Nightbot keeps the conversation going. It's as simple as that. I can sit there and ask you guys, hey, let me know whatever, but Nightbot kind of is basically Nightbot is me in the chat. Okay. So that way I don't have to keep just saying, if I'm like really focused in on a severe thunderstorm, right? And I don't have time to say, hey, let me know what's happening. Nightbot is basically my voice in the chat. Yeah, thank you, Therese, saying an earlier follower here. Excited when you hit 1K. Congratulations on being over 10, growing. Looking forward to seeing even more. Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate that. And look, our subscribers matter. The viewership has been great as well. If I could get every viewer to become a subscriber, boy, things would be great. As a reference, about a week ago, one of our streams, we had 85,000 plus views. I think 87,000 views. So, 10,000 subscribers, but 87,000 views. So if we could even translate more views into subscribers, that would even help out the channel even more. But I remember you, Therese, from the very beginning, and I appreciate you still tuning in. So Michael says the winds just arrived at Babcock and Cogan there, Winding Dale, Southeast Palm Bay, I believe, SEPB. Hey, Just Nautilus, good afternoon to you. Yeah, Horizon West. It's just overcast and gloomy, for the most part. Now, again, as we were talking and reading the kind words that you guys have, which I fully appreciate, they did allow that special weather statement to expire at least right now. Again, they're probably going to have to believe that these storms are going to produce winds of over 40 miles an hour to reissue that special weather statement. If there's an area of Brevard County that will get under a new special weather statement, it is right here, okay? But remember, the amount of rain and the amount of lightning is not a criteria for a special weather statement or severe thunderstorm warnings. It's wind and hail. And I keep mentioning that in every stream because people don't understand that. And I fully get it too. You get a torrential downpour and a ton of lightning, go, where's this special weather statement? Or isn't this a severe thunderstorm warning? It has to have winds of 60 miles an hour or more and or inch-size hail for a severe thunderstorm warning. They raised that criteria a while ago. I agree with that. Sometimes these storms weren't really that strong and they're popping off severe thunderstorm warnings, but that's what the special weather statement encompasses, okay? They can issue those for storms that produce winds of 40 miles an hour or quarter-inch size hail. So they cover the lower, stronger storms with those special weather statements. I know you have, Linda, and I appreciate that. And I hope you're doing well, and I hope the storms got you some rain, but you didn't get anything worse than that. So let's reset the scene, my friends, here at 132. Again, we have a good string of storms that continues to move south. Right now, as the 132 mark, no special weather statements for now, special marine warnings, strong storms, producing gusty winds. The rain is a concern as far as flooding goes. We'll take a look at the flood advisories in a minute. But generally speaking, right now, the farther north that you live, the weather should begin to improve through the remainder of the afternoon hours. If I show you guys our high-resolution visible satellite imagery, and I'll throw this into motion, you can kind of just see how the atmosphere is right now, right? You can just see these storms firing up. And again, our stalling out weak boundary is still up here in South Georgia. It will slowly sink into the northern part of the state. That is the surface reflection. Your mid-level trough is this orange line. So that's why we had all the storms today, because we had this pulse of mid-level energy come down out of our stationary boundary. This environment is not going to change anytime soon. We're going to continue to see good thunderstorms here throughout the area. This is a composite radar from the NEXRAD radar sites, okay? They haven't had hardly anything near the boundary. It's all with this mid-level kick that produced all the storms, and it just happened to be right over us, okay? Likely, that's still going to be the scenario over the next few days. I could see this regenerating tomorrow, Saturday, and maybe even Sunday as well. If nothing else, the coverage of storms is still going to be quite significant in the coming days. The flood threat will be with us, and the opportunity for some stronger to severe storms. Again, today, the risk from the boundary south to Orlando, marginal risk of severe storms, 1 out of 5, all right? Again, nothing greatly organized, but at least that opportunity. But the excessive rainfall risk goes even farther south, including all of our area for today. It just means that anywhere within Central Florida, there's the opportunity for some flooding in some of these spots. We've had a couple of flood advisories, still continuing again for Hillsborough and Polk counties. By the way, there's a rip current statement up, by the way, for coastal Pinellas, if you're interested in the bays and back down towards Anna Maria Island, places like that. Coastal Charlotte, Manatee, Lee, Sarasota, Hillsborough. There you go. Just checking on this one more time. 230, minor flooding of low-lying areas. Total, if you add these numbers up, 3 to 6 inches of rain. So that is where we are right now, okay? So I do expect these storms to continue to cause some problems, at least for the next hour, in some of our southern areas. Then we'll fall under the light to moderate rain for a time, and we'll have to see if anything else tries to regenerate later today or overnight. Typically now, with temperatures that have been rain-cooled and the atmosphere is a little bit more stable, it's going to be harder to do so, but it's not out of the question. An area I'd actually watch out for would be the West Coast. Still some pulses of energy coming out of the Eastern Gulf, just like we had that report up there in the, I believe it was the Newport Richey area, right? Yeah, Newport Richey, Oyster Bayou, of some flooding here. Still could see some string of storms move back along coastal sections, anywhere from Citrus County, but especially back down to Hernando, Pasco, and Pinellas. Those could be areas with additional heavier rain opportunities. Everyone else should quiet out a little bit more here over the next few hours. Hey, Angel, how you doing? Hey, Great Patriot. Now, one thing that my chat that I use does not show me is when we get new Storm Squad members. So I do want to take a quick second, and I want to acknowledge our new Storm Squad members. Great Patriot 75, Rob N55, and Angel, all new Storm Squad members. Let's get the hearts out in chat for 4 new Storm Squad members: Brenda, Great Patriot, Rob, and Angel. Thank you so much for that support. Again, you have access to custom badges and emojis during these live streams. Again, you will see your names now in green. You'll see the new sticker next to it. It means you've been a member for less than a month. Once you become a member past a month, you guys will get different badges, if you will, to show off. And then you have access to exclusive member short videos. So in between these live streams, again, a live only channel, I'll put together some exclusive member content to let you guys know my heads up about what might be happening with storms either that day or just kind of my overall thoughts about when we might be getting back into more active weather here in Central Florida. So thank you a lot to the 4 new members of the Storm Squad here on CFLW. I would show you the cutest member of the Storm Squad, our 8-week-old golden retriever, but she's sleeping right now. You guys will see her enough. She's going to be the official mascot of the channel. If you missed her, her name is Sassy. We brought her on a few days ago. She had her vaccines yesterday, so she's a little sleepy. She's still sassy, though, I can promise you that. Question is, what's the storm speed to the east? So generally these storms right now are moving around 15 miles an hour, okay? 15, maybe 20 east to southeast. There is some decent forward speed with them. Now, what happened with these storms is these isolated storms merged with this line, and so there was slower erratic movement over the last hour, but they should start to pick back up forward speed and work their way off the coast. So we put this into motion. Half-hour loop, you'll see that we are beginning to get that easterly push. Still pretty rough, though. Look, Indian Harbor Beach, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Malabar, Grant, and Valkyria. Still some solid storms here. And then if I zoom in a little bit closer, it's going to include Indian Atlantic and Melbourne Beach. All right? But it is beginning to move off to the east. But it's still going to be a while before it fully clears this area. But there has at least been some decent forward speed with the most stout of storms. Earlier today, they were more in about the 25, 30 mile an hour range. They've slowed down a bit, but again, we're still pushing everything in a general east to southeast fashion. Now, Pinellas County is starting to feed in some of the storms off the Gulf, as I've mentioned. So we are starting to see additional heavier rain develop across 19, down towards Palm Harbor, and even get back into the Clearwater area right now. So again, one of our newest members, Angel, says it's still very grumbly here in South Titusville. Yeah, Gray Patriot. Everything is basically moving east to southeast. That is the storm direction for today. All of the mid and upper level winds are out of the west and northwest. So we're going to see everything just continue to propagate east to southeast. And I'm actually very happy, if you will, for areas that have seen some flooding, that we are actually beginning to see the rain shield on the northern side abate and get pushed a little bit south and east. I was concerned that we could be in an environment for today where we just got stuck under this veil, this shield, hundreds of miles wide of just widespread light to moderate rain. And those folks that really got hit hard, you know, we're going to be stuck with some additional rain and the potential for some flooding deeper into this Thursday. I hope that that is not going to be the case north. Still a problem now, though, Hillsborough and Polk County. Still some good storms here. We don't want to see those darker reds get back into East Hillsborough and Polk and lead to additional flood potential there. Dark in the Mico area from wind. Hello, Sea Life. How you doing? Doggy Cam. Oh, well, trust me. She'll be on the channel enough. I know what brings in the viewers. You get kids and you get dogs and animals, and you keep the viewership around. She's also really cute, too. Hey, Terry. How you doing? Getting lots right now in Melbourne. Yeah, it's coming down pretty good there in your area. No doubt about it, Terry. Thanks for letting me know. Again, if you see any flooding of any kind, low-lying areas, let me know in the comment section below as well. Let's check in with our cameras, our network of cameras here at CFLW. Again, you know, I just feel like this is a live look. I just feel like this has been the look from Winter Garden since we've been on. You know, just gray and overcast. It's light rain at most. Have not had any lightning strikes in Winter Garden in a while, but still be very cautious if you want to get out and about. Kind of the same look from Conway, just not as dark and gray of a sky. This is looking east. So your Winter Garden camera was looking west. Conway is looking off towards the east right now. We'll check in on the Sand Lake area. Hey, guess what? It's gray. Again, left over with a shield of light to moderate rain here. Now that camera in Sand Lake is looking south and west. This camera from Sand Lake is looking south and east. We call that one our Epic Cam, because it looks right over Epic Universe. So right behind those stand of trees If we were ever on live during the evening hours, we'd actually catch the fireworks there from Epic. So again, most of our cameras right now are showing you the gray overcast across Central Florida. But obviously some of the storms continue to push off to the south and to the east, and they're pretty still significant out there. As we move on, please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lien Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy review. So if you do get stuck in an insurance claim and it's a big old headache and you need someone, an advocate on your side, reach out to them, scan the QR code that'll take you to their website. You can call Bobby and the team there at the number on your screen. Great folks. You want us to support someone who supports the channel, reach out to them. If you are a local business owner and you want your information on the screen just like Bobby's right now, you can reach out to me as well. Scan the QR code coming on your screen, the top left-hand side. Takes it to our email, say, hey, Rusty, I'm interested in being a sponsor of the channel, one of the sponsors of the cameras, and let's talk. But appreciate the Lien Law Firm from the very beginning of our channels being a sponsor here. So a question of how much rain is St. Cloud supposed to get? This is a very tough question to answer. I'm going to be honest with you, because there's a few parts of this. The first part of that question is, how much rain are you going to get today, right? Well, St. Cloud has basically seen what rain it's going to get today, right? Zoom in a little bit more so St. Cloud's name pops up. So in most areas, that was likely, what, a ½ inch to an inch, plus in a couple of areas of St. Cloud, maybe double that in a few isolated locations, okay? So I don't expect St. Cloud to get much more rain today, because anything that's north of you is still very light. But again, this is day one of a multi-day event, and significant rain and storms are still possible through all of Central Florida in the coming days. So if you didn't get a lot of rain today, you could get excessive rainfall the next few days. If you got excessive rainfall today, this might be the heaviest rain that you have. This is a very tropical, moisture-laden environment, one that we're not tracking a cold front, and I can't just sit here and say, okay, we're going to follow this line, and here comes these storms, and once it passes you by, you're done with the rain for sure. We're just in a wet sponge here, guys, and from time to time we get these impulses of energy coming through, squeezing out that wet sponge that's above our heads. But I will say this, through all of Central Florida, we are likely to fall under the potential for excessive rainfall through Sunday, right? The excessive rainfall risk is likely to continue for our area all the way through the weekend. Right now, your most significant rain is in the Atlantic, Melbourne Beach, Palm Bay, Malabar, Grant, Valkyria. Trying to get that storm offshore. Decent rain southeast Osceola County, western sides of Indian River County. And again, same situation here. Solid rain, portions of Hillsborough, Pinellas, western sides of Hillsborough County as well. Hey, Samantha, how you doing? Pouring in Melbourne. Yeah, I can understand the enjoyment of the cooler temperatures, that's for sure. I had to work on my yard earlier this week before I saw you guys when it was one of the quieter days. That was a mistake. My God. It was one of the heat advisory days. Look, I knew it. I'm not stupid. I knew it, but I had to do some yard work for the dog. Fill in a little hole that was out there. And it was even, you can be as smart as you want to be about the weather, but you're still going to be out there in that kind of environment, and it's not fun. I pushed through, but I took a lot of breaks. So it does look like the Space Force Base had the strongest wind here, 41 miles an hour, and that was at 110. So again, we're looking at the Melbourne radar right now. Oh, does it come up over here? Trying to do a little something different with the radar sites. I do have the ability. Normally, I just zoom out on the radar and I just say, "Hey, oh yeah, it's behind my head." But I can choose by actual site too. But the problem is, and then we get into this. See, this is the problem. Then I sit here and I just scroll like this and scroll like this. But I can do it that way too. But see, but then it takes you out to the wide view anyway. Yeah, that's probably not the way to do it. Anyway, I just wanted to show you what it looks like from the Tampa radar. Now again, Tampa radar is within a thunderstorm as well. So it's having to cut through all of that to show you what's happening over in Melbourne and Palm Bay. But just to give you an idea that we're fully covered up in these spots. So those folks in the chat letting us know in Brevard County, you're getting some significant storms. I got you. Seeing it right now. Just the radars are getting hit with the storms as well. So it's a little bit less of a presentation. And again, if you do live in the Ruskin area, Gibsonton area, Riverview, places like that, good storm over you. I am a severe thunderstorm, yes. I do have the bright red shirt on for today. But this would be what it would show up as, there's no doubt about it. Hopefully we don't see too many of these actually on the map, right? Let's keep the red on my shirt and not any red polygons. I like the trend. If you guys follow me here on the channel, a few different phrases I use. First of all, if you know SLCs, right? We got our scary looking clouds. We got our rowdy storms. And then we have the trend is our friend, right? So because I only track these storms when they're impactful, when they're live, right? We typically follow these storms from their generation to their end. So what I'm seeing right now is the trend is our friend. I'm seeing these storms beginning to lose a bit of their intensity. Still doesn't mean there's not pockets of bad weather, but it's been good that over the last 15 minutes or so, we haven't had a new special weather statement, which means the storms as they move south have fallen under that criteria. So when we're talking about wind and hail, the trend is our friend as far as that goes, okay? Still flooding risk here, okay? That should continue for a time. Again, the flood advisory for portions of Hillsborough and Polk counties until 2:30. Hopefully, we're not going to get any flood advisories for Brevard County. Again, always will switch back over to that just to triple and double check. There is a flood advisory. Here you go. They just issued it. Yeah. I was sitting here going, this is the next area of concern. All right, so here we go. Southern Brevard, East Central Osceola till 3:30. Minor flooding in low-lying areas and poor drainage areas. Look, this is like the lowest form of a flood advisory, but it's still not insignificant, right? When you still have flooding of low-lying areas, that could still be roadways, and now you have water covering up roadways. All right, so 1 to 3 inches of rain, an additional 1 to 2. So again, another area of 2 to 5 inches of rain. Big areas included within this. Here we go. Palm Bay, Melbourne, Satellite Beach, Malabar, Indian Atlantic, Camp Holly Fish Camp, West Melbourne, Indian Harbor Beach, Melbourne Beach, Grant Valkyria, Melbourne Village, June Park, Melbourne Airport, O'Galley, Spazard, Holland Park, Melbourne Shores, and Floridana Beach. All under this flood advisory until 3:30. So an hour and 40 minutes of a flood advisory. Here's what this means. It means flooding is possible in these areas. It could be ongoing. It could develop, but there's the opportunity based on Doppler estimated rainfall totals that flooding could be occurring in some of these spots. If you live in these areas, again, advice. If you can avoid getting out and about for the next couple of hours, do so. The rain will end eventually here in the next 60 to 90 minutes, allowing that water to recede. And hopefully the rain isn't heavy enough, even in the interim, where we don't continue to pile on additional rain and we've already hit the peak. Right? So sometimes, depending on the amount of rain or where we're talking about these waters getting into these basins and the low-lying areas, sometimes obviously the flooding can continue well beyond the initial rainfall because all that water is getting into these collection basins. Other times we've hit a peak and now hopefully just steadier rain is still not going to add to additional flooding. It might take a longer duration to see the flood waters recede, but what I do like is that I don't see significant rain much beyond what's already fallen. So again, tapering off, but still raining not as intense. That's what I want to hear in those areas. That's what we need to get this flood advisory in and out as fast as possible. So again, not surprised at all, right? We've seen some of the severe weather risk lose its intensity a little bit, but we've had enough rain where now we have some flood risk. So the flood risk is likely to be something that will continue in some of these spots for the mid-afternoon hours, right? But hopefully no additional areas of flood. This storm just continues to be on the stronger side, but nothing outrageous, just good heavy rain and lightning. Pinellas County, trying to get over the bay into the western side of Hillsborough County, Tarpon Springs, Palm Harbor, Dunedin. Are the Bucks still doing training camp, mini camp this week? I don't know if they're still continuing today or not, but they're probably indoors. Dunedin, Clearwater, McDill on over towards Ruskin. So you can just see this kind of line that's developing. Still, again, good thunderstorm activity off the coast. Some of that still could sneak inland. Maybe just moves south and avoids the west coast. But there's your opportunity there. Big batch of light to moderate rain interior sections. And then you pick back up with some stronger storms in southern Brevard County. Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Malabar, Grant, Valcaria, Mico, and Sebastian. Back into portions of Indian River County. Hey, William, just 20 minutes ago, at least at my home location in Melbourne, there was some pea-sized hail mixed in with the heavier rain and the gusty winds. Appreciate that. First report of hail for today, okay? Again, we were focused in on that area significantly in the last 45 minutes, but now the first report of a little bit of pea-sized hail. So appreciate that, William. If you guys, just like William, had a little bit of smaller hail, you live in this area or other areas, let me know in the comment section below. Again, I am very interested at this point in time in understanding exactly what's going on in your area. So your ground truth reports are very vital to the channel, and I appreciate those who take a second to let me know, especially if you have seen flooding or are experiencing some flooding as we speak. I'll check over the local storm reports as well. Just want to make sure, see if there's any other hail reports here. So the blue icons are going to be your wind icons. If there's a hail report, it's going to be in yellow. A flood report will be in green. Does anyone have any questions about the forecast? I've tried to reiterate fairly frequently the opportunity for the storms over the next few days. We haven't looked at it yet. Here, things are slightly quieter right now. I have access to model data as well. We can always look at this. This is the high resolution rapid refresh. Again, we don't do a lot of forecasting on the channel, but when we're talking about something that's just going to continue to impact us, I want you guys to be aware. Now, I haven't looked at this updates every hour, okay? And I haven't looked at I've looked at them all before, every hour before I came on. I think the general thing that I want you guys to understand is just through Saturday, this is a 48-hour at most high resolution model. A lot of green and yellows and reds on this map. Again, waves of storms. It's going to be hard to say exactly when they're arriving, to be very honest. The pulses of energy coming off of that trough, but a lot of green and yellow and red on this map through Saturday. And we're probably going to see it again on Sunday as well. General movement will still likely be northwest to southeast or a north to south push in general. But if we take a look at a couple of things here real fast. So this is overnight. So if we go back here, starting at 8 o'clock, right? This is what I mean by still at least a low-end chance for a couple of storms to get rowdy again in our northern areas this evening. A possibility. Once we lose the heat of the day, we're probably going to lose that chance. But again, here's another potential push of storms early tomorrow. Now, not all of the models and certainly not all of the HER hourly updates have pushed in additional storms before daybreak tomorrow. If they do, they're likely to not be severe. They're probably just noisy, good gusty winds out there. If it's significant enough, I can always run the live stream with the radar and the camera network for you guys, and I'll be monitoring that situation. So there might be a stream if you're new to the channel where I'm not on and it's our radars and our cameras, but it keeps you guys up to date because obviously I can't be on 72 hours in a row. But for the most impactful storms, I'll always be on here live for you guys. But could there be some overnight storms in the area? Again, yes. And then you just see again, here we go again tomorrow afternoon. A rinse and repeat of today in a broad sense is very likely for tomorrow. When you see these purples and blues, that's no good. That's high reflectivity. Hail is still going to be a threat with this. If that boundary can sink a little bit farther to the south, I might even have more juice in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So if you have Friday plans, cancel them and come join me. No, I'm joking. But stay weather aware, no doubt about it. And then again, same situation Saturday morning. We get to 8 a.m. here on the model. More storms. Just a very, very, very active weather pattern through at least Saturday. Clearwater getting some rain. That's what I like. No purples, please. Look, you guys know when I'm on live and you see the flashing purples and blues, those neon colors, that's no good. That means extremely intense thunderstorm activity. And then if it gets to the blacks and the whites, just head for cover. That's actually the highest on the map reflectivity. You can actually see the legend behind me. So you get to these purples and these blues, that's no good. If it gets to black or white, nope. Dreams do come true. Hey, Rare Breed. Our location of Siesta Key has been in a long drought. Finally got some rain. Rain misses most of the time. I get you. West Coast has been extremely dry. West Coast has been the area that has not had the most rain. This situation, though, should cover the state west to east. So I am very hopeful of those areas who need that rain to get better rain and storm chances and some significant rain as well. So I hope you get more, just not too much. Take care, William. Great Patriot says, nice, easy rain now. Yep, beginning to push some of the worst weather off to our south and to our east. And again, still a string of some decent rain back into western Hillsborough and the northern sides of Pinellas County. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about what might be happening the remainder of the day or for the next couple of days? Speak now or forever hold your peace until the next live stream. Just switching over to the mobile. To give you an idea here in the Orlando area, if I zoom in enough, we're basically devoid of any lightning strikes. There's still a little bit of a lightning strike here or there on the far southeast side. But if you live in Metro Orlando, conditions have improved vastly. The lightning is gone for the most part. And now we're into drier weather up north. Now, again, you can see from the Jacksonville radar, it's not as if we're just completely void of activity here. You are going to see some scattered showers try to return, a few thunderstorms and maybe pulsing up in intensity south of I-10, maybe back into our northern area. So it's not a completely, hey, wipe your hands the rest of the day, we're fully done. It's conditional though, right? This stuff is moving out of our area. It's weakened below severe criteria. Now can anything else in an isolated fashion try and get going up here before we lose the heat of the day? Fishing Games asks, I wonder if we're going to have any more rain in Titusville today. Softball at 7. I am optimistic that you guys will be fine. I don't expect a ton more to get back that far south and east through 7. I don't want to sit here and say it's 100% guarantee, but this first shield coming through, dropping temperatures back into the 70s, and already that line has made its way south of Orlando, I would feel pretty good about your chances for a softball game in Titusville at 7. Again, good time of the day, good timing, right? Because tomorrow could be a completely different scenario. Oops. Nightbot says subscribe. Might as well bring Nightbot on. Again, Nightbot is basically my voice in the chat. What I really wanted to bring up was Sea Life saying, how does Saturday morning look like? We just saw from the model that it's still going to be fairly active Saturday morning, right? Likely non-severe showers and storms, but still some impactful weather, and more than likely ramping right back up into some stronger storms for Saturday afternoon. Fort White, Ishtuckney Springs from Brian. Same situation. Would expect there to be widespread showers and storms. There's not a lot of areas here I'm going to say, hey guys, I think it's morning here, afternoon here. Again, one thing I've tried to tell you guys during this live stream is this is a widespread multi-day event. So I don't know how many dry hours and locations we're going to get on a daily basis. I think we're going to get storms each day. They're going to be widespread. I think most of us get some pretty impactful storms, but there can be some lulls in the action. Like right now in Orlando, if you need to get out and about for the next little bit, you can, right? You know, some afternoon rounds of golf are, I'm sure, will commence here in the next hour or so. But it's just not going to be huge breaks in the action overall. Should I bring a wetsuit or two? You might want to, Brian. Okay. So the weather has tapered off a little bit, which is fantastic news. I tell you guys, every time you join me, never going to waste your time, right? Never going to be on when there's not a reason to. As I've mentioned, the trend is our friend. I like what we're seeing right now as far as that goes. I don't think that there's going to be additional stronger storms coming up. We still have to watch a little bit of the flood threat, but you guys know those areas. My advice, give it a little bit of time to recede, and then you should be able to continue with your day. So we're going to end this live stream coming up here in just a minute. Now, you guys know, first of all, I always keep track of the weather. If additional storms fire up in Central Florida, I'll be back on later today. Maybe it's not till tomorrow, but I do expect to see you guys sometime in the next 24 hours because I do expect there to be some more active weather here in Central Florida. First thing, please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. So look, you got nothing to lose if you want to reach out to them to help walk you through an insurance claim process. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you to their website. You can give them a call at 407-502-0053. Reach out to Bobby and the team here. If you want to be a sponsor of the channel, you can scan the QR code on the top of your screen right now. If you want to be a sponsor of the channel like Bobby or one of our cameras, you can do so. Again, a lot of viewership on the channel, a very easy way, a very cost-efficient way to become a sponsor if you are a local business in Central Florida. Again, reach out to me and we can discuss. I want to thank, first of all of the subscribers who came into the chat. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button and the like button. Thank you to all of our new members as well. All the new members of the Storm Squad, those who gave during the live stream, during the super chat and the super thanks and the super stickers and all that. Just appreciate you guys taking a bit of time of your Thursday, joining me, getting enough out of the channel to come in and support the channel. Again, have notifications on because we're likely to be right back into this at the latest sometime tomorrow. Could be in the morning, could be in the afternoon hours, but we've got more storms firing back up here in Central Florida. Appreciate everyone tuning in, all of our moderators as well. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be back on as necessary. Until then, take care, my friends, but I'm sure I'll see you soon.